Welcome back to the 411 Podcasting Network. I'm your host, Larry Csonka, and this is episode 103 of the 411 on Wrestling Podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, share us around on social media, give us a thumbs up and subscription on the old YouTube, and leave us a 5-star review on the podcasting platform of your choosing. Joining me today to kick off this week's show is Mark Radulich. Mark, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Larry. Thanks for having me back on.
You are welcome, my friend. It's always good to talk to you, and Mark is here, and just for the spirit of full disclosure, because there's a lot of things changing, and things could change by the time this airs, and I might have to add a little coda onto the end of this, but it's late Saturday night, and we're going to start our preview of WrestleMania.
It's too big for one night, Larry. That's what they told me every other minute of the entire 3-hour broadcast of this past Monday Night's Raw.
It's too big for one night, Mark, and before we really dig into everything, I just want to throw out there, I'm accepting apologies. I just want everybody to know, I'm accepting apologies for everybody that told me under no circumstances was I told that WWE would ever copy New Japan and do a 2-night WrestleMania. Under no circumstances I was told this. And first of all, I said that was bullshit because I figured they'd eventually do it because that's way too much money to make. Second of all, under no circumstances, well, apparently you didn't expect a fucking pandemic because that's what we got. Number two, people that told me I was overblown, I was fake media for saying that they should cancel WrestleMania and that everything around Mania was going to end up canceled because of state law or the government stepping in. Never going to happen, Larry. Well, Mania wasn't canceled, but it's in an empty arena and pretty much everything else got shit-canned along with it now.
Yeah, it's resembling Superstars at this point, only without an audience. Taped matches from undisclosed locations. I believe they taped one of the matches in Mark Levin's underground bunker. That's a joke for all the conservative radio fans out there. Yeah, this is the most. It would be almost a parody if it weren't true. And I asked you before we started tonight, Larry, is the WWE in a contest with Dana White and the UFC for the who could be the most tone deaf during this whole crisis? I mean, Jesus Christ. I thought it was kitschy and funny when they released the shirts that said I wasn't there and it was the WrestleMania pirate logo. I was like, okay, that's adorable. But they continue to use the same pirate graphics for this stupid thing, which is driving me up the wall because, like, you're not doing it in Raymond James Stadium anymore. The Pirates only invaded Tampa Bay. They didn't march all the way to Orlando. Knock it off already. It's a whole other event now. And then and I love the WWE. The WWE only rivals like North Korea in their propaganda efforts. It's too big for one night. And if they had said it once, I would have been okay with it. But they said it for the entire 3-hour broadcast multiple times and really tried to drive it home as if this thing really were like that spectacular and not a horrible series of unfortunate incidents. I don't know about you, but as sarcastic and as appreciative of irony as I can be, this is too much.
It really is. And like in terms of who's being more tone deaf, it's like WWE is taking it to a really big degree here. They're trying to make it out to be like WrestleMania is this big special 2-night thing without, because all they ever say is in light of circumstances or due to the way things are right now. Like, I think they mentioned coronavirus/COVID-19 once and it was on Main Event, which nobody but me watches.
Right.
So that doesn't count.
Right.
So it's like they're kind of delusional and in denial. But then on the other side of the coin, you have nothing but douchebaggery from Dana White.
Yes. The man expects to hold Khabib versus Ferguson in Florida. where we're this close, and you can't see it because this is audio, but imagine two fingers very close together, this close to having a total shelter in place law order from the governor. I mean, right now it's basically, you're encouraged to social distance and everything is canceled and you should only go outside for limited reasons. But New York, Jersey, and I think California, a few other places, you're like, people are being ordered to stay in their homes.
Yeah.
And this guy wants to bring that fight to Florida. And even if it doesn't come to Florida, they're still shopping it around. This thing is still spreading. I don't know if he realizes that or not, because I made the joke of, we'll just hold it in Saudi Arabia. Everything else gets held there now. Boxing, WWE, just go to the Saudis. But I actually looked at the COVID map recently. It's spread there too.
Yep.
Like, it's all over the world. There's nowhere to go where this thing isn't going to be at this time. Maybe West Virginia. But just don't do it. Just wait. There's no reason to do this now.
Yeah. And I'm really trying to not do the I told you so thing, but I am also accepting apologies for this, Mark. And here's what I want to get into. Talked about the fact, and we're going to get into this, and by the way, a friendly warning, if you haven't been following the wrestling news super close, there is going to be some spoilage in this preview because certain people are reportedly not working this card. And the first of which, real quick, is someone that I said that probably shouldn't be working the show and that we should be concerned about due to the whole leukemia thing, Roman Reigns.
Yes, sir.
The big dog is reportedly pulled out of this show, and we'll talk more about it later when we get to the match. But, I mean, if it was his decision and his decision alone, I think that's awesome. I think he made a smart adult decision. And apparently WWE and AEW have been telling their guys that, listen, if you don't want to work, tell us and it's fine. And again, it's wrestling and we'll see how much that works out in the future. But granted, I mean, Roman is Vince's boy anyway. But the fact is, he shouldn't have been around all these people. He shouldn't have been traveling in any way. He shouldn't have been around other people flying in and stuff like that. It was a horrible mistake to try to have him work this show, period. And I get
it was a horrible mistake to have the show.
Well,
period,
yes, I mean,
in addition,
yes, that's a whole other argument. But I mean, yeah, it's we can argue we shouldn't be having the show at all, and that's fine. I mean, I wrote about that and I agree. But the fact is like you're gonna put Roman in there, who is like immunocompromised due to leukemia, and then just be like, yeah, he'll be okay. He's a big boy.
They say most people who get the coronavirus will withstand it, especially healthier folks, but when you're immune compromised, which is what happens when you have or had cancer, which he had, or you're older, or there's any number of ways you can be immunocompromised, you're taking a gamble, and that's the thing. The craziest thing about the coronavirus is that people can have had it for a week, 2 weeks, and not know they have it, and that it spreads so easily because because it's just droplets from coughing or whatever, that you could think that you're safe. You could think that, I'm just doing my normal routine with the normal people I'm usually around. What could possibly go wrong? But you have no idea where else those people have been or whether or not they have it. And then again, if you're one of the unlucky folks who gets it and you have a medical complication, you may or may not make it. And then the other issue with that, as they say, is it isn't so much that this is the Black Plague, is that they don't, for people who have a serious condition or serious case of this, where they need respirators and ventilators and all of that, they may not have them, especially when you have great numbers of people who need them. And so that's been the whole drive with this, because some people don't get that. They're like, I don't understand like why we need to shut everything down. It's one of my friends who's a nurse, and I work in the healthcare field. One of my friends who's a nurse wrote on her Facebook page, she's like, imagine everybody getting kind of sick at once and rushing to the hospital. the untold amount of damage you would do in a situation where they don't have enough resources to help all those people. So you try to limit the amount of contact, to flatten the curve, to preserve the resources for the few that really do need it. I hope that makes sense for people. I know that some have been struggling with it. But, for Roman Reigns, which, turning this back to him, it's important that he take care of his health and make sure that he doesn't make what could be an egregious mistake.
Exactly. So, I mean, like I said, again, good for Roman. I'm glad that he decided to make that decision. I mean, it's safety first, man. I mean, he's a husband, he's a father, and he has a lot to think about more than just a wrestling match with Bill Goldberg.
There's plenty of time in the future when this finally does get cleared up and we have vaccines and whatnot to wrestle old Goldberg. It'll be fine.
Exactly.
It'll be fine.
But I saw some people were like, very dismissive when I first brought up the stuff about Roman. You're overreacting for clicks. And it's something I really strive to not do, dude. And that kind of upset me. I was being very serious bringing it up and talking about it. And I remember I talked about it with my friend Jerome, and when I brought it up, even Jerome was like, you know what? I never even thought of that. Because it feels like, in a good way, it feels like forever since Roman's been back from the leukemia. He's been back, he's been normal, he's been wrestling, and everything seems good. So you almost forget that he was out for 3/4 of a year or whatever, battling it to get healthy again. And then when you think about it, it kind of hits you, and you're like, oh, shit.
Look, as somebody who's been struggling with this since late 2016, you really don't know what he's going through.
Yeah.
He's a character on television, but when the camera is off and he goes home, you don't know what all else he needs to do to keep himself healthy or just how healthy he is. I mean, like I said, I've been battling it, and I go to work and I was doing stuff, but I had to do quite a number of things to just do my everyday routine, and still do. So you really don't know, because here's the thing, like, doctors they always ask me, like, are you still working? Yes, I'm still working. I got these gimmicks. They're called bills, as Steve Austin would say. Do you still listen to his podcast, by the way?
No, I haven't for a long time. I kind of got sick of it after a while. I listened to the interviews he's doing on the network again, though. I just talked about the Bret Hart one with Jerome. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I gave up because he's a terrible interview, but the ones he does, where he's being produced on the network, aren't too bad. Anyway, yes, I still have bills to pay, and so I still go to work and I still try to live my life as best I can with my wife and kids. I would assume it's the same thing with Roman Reigns. We don't know. I mean, he looks like a big, strong man. He looks like a WWE god superstar, but you really don't know. And I'm sure he took all of that into consideration when he was like, nope, tain't worth it. Tain't worth it, Vince.
So that's going to lead us to, I guess we need to start talking about the actual WrestleMania card here, Mark.
The amazing changing WrestleMania. The amazing changing WrestleMania card, which is changing as we speak.
Yeah, like I said, I may have to do a little addendum on Wednesday night when this goes up. But anyway, we start off with Elias versus King Corbin, and they ran an angle on SmackDown where Corbin tried to kill Elias.
Did he?
He threw him off the little perch gimmick in the Performance Center, and you heard a thud, and then Elias was laying on the floor and had to be stretchered out.
Well, if I had to pick a winner with this thing, I'm going to go with King Corbin, because King Corbin wins everything, except when he doesn't. And Elias, whether he's a face or a heel, it seems like the thing that they just want him to do is sing funny songs, so he could afford the loss here. I don't know, when was the last time Elias won a match?
He won one not too long ago on SmackDown, but it's
good
not
for him.
It's not like he's racking them up though.
Yeah, I feel like this is a get well match for King Corbin after the long drawn out Tolkien-esque feud with Roman Reigns. So, I don't know what they're gonna do this week on SmackDown to pump up Elias so that it looks like he's got a fighting chance. But all hail King Corbin.
It's like my first thought is I look at this match, and this is a phrase I'm going to use probably a lot during this preview, but there are some matches that deserve and require a deep breakdown and analysis, and this is not one of those matches. It has almost no build, and you're going to feature a match between two guys that greatly struggle to have a watchable match in front of a lively crowd, in front of no crowd. That just seems like a recipe for disaster. I have very low expectations. I do agree, though. It feels like a rebound win for the King Corbin because he's the one being pushed. They think he's a big star.
I know because of social distancing and keeping crowds under 10 and under, they can't do something really creative with this, but I wish they could. I wish it was like, Elias and a bunch of hipsters with guitars and various, one guy with a banjo and, a tambourine versus Corbin in a court of, knights and whatnot. And it was just really make it like fun and cinematic.
Well, maybe if it lasts through Survivor Series, they can do that and relive the Bret Hart versus Jerry Lawler and the...
Yes, you're brilliant, sir. Elias and a bunch of midget hipsters versus King Corbin and midget knights. Perfect.
But we'll see what the hell happens. I mean, like I said, King Corbin tried to kill the guy on SmackDown, so who knows if Elias will even make it. Maybe that was their way to write the match off the card and make the whole 2 nights even shorter, which that'd be great.
With the way people are dropping off this thing, I don't think they can afford to. Elias may be wrestling Brock Lesnar at this. No, Brock Lesnar might be not making it either.
So Aleister Black is facing off with Bobby Lashley, allegedly. Apparently Bobby Lashley was in quarantine for a bit because he was coming back from South Africa doing a media tour, which I have no idea why you'd send a motherfucker on an international media tour during a fucking pandemic, but all right.
Did they send him after that thing broke out?
I don't know, man, but it's like that stuff was starting to get out there anyway. It's not like he was there for like a month ago. So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe probably shouldn't have sent him.
Hey, China's on fire. Get on the plane, Lashley.
I know. But another one that doesn't need a lot of deep analysis. Lashley's WWE run hasn't been good. They completely nuked any good nature and will he had built up during a really good Impact run. Again, this was a guy with the MMA background and a good run coming out of Impact. You could have pushed him right away, had him kill Geeks for 3 months and booked him versus Brock, gotten that match out of the way because there were people that wanted to see that match. But they didn't do it because he's too busy, fucking Lana. And I mean, more power to him if that was real and all. But I mean, good storyline for him that nobody likes and cares about. But he gets to hang out with Lana all the time.
What I like about this match is the long build-up they've had. This long-running, simmering feud between Aleister... Oh, wait, it came out of nowhere. Well, Aleister Black throws really hard kicks, and Bobby Lashley is a serviceable wrestler. I'm sure it'll be fine. If I had to pick one, I guess Aleister Black, because I think somebody in the back wants him to... He's been killing guys on Raw, as a matter of fact. Like, they seem to be pushing Aleister Black, but giving him a bunch of squashes. So this seems like this would be a gimme for Aleister Black to continue to build him up.
Paul Heyman loves Aleister Black, and there was originally a rumor that Aleister Black was one of the rumored opponents for Brock at Mania.
Wow.
So Paul loves him. He should win. And you know what? You're doing these fucking shows. These matches don't need to be long. Mania does not need to be long since it's 2 nights. This is a perfect example of you could let Lashley beat on him for about 80 seconds and then let Aleister Black hits Black Mass and it's fucking done.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
I don't even think Lashley needs to touch him. I want to see like Bobby Lashley just comes in, kind of flexes, pulls on the ropes. Aleister Black goes to shoot on him. Bobby Lashley ducks, rolls out, takes a powder, kind of just struts around the ring, gets back in. They do this 2 or 3 more times, and finally Aleister Black just kicks him in the face.
Yeah,
Done.
As long as it ends with Aleister Black kicking him in the face in around 3 minutes or so, I'm going to be happy. There's no reason for this match with no build at all to be long.
If they could get like animators, I want to see Aleister Black kick Bobby Lashley and him go flying out of the performance center and like into an ambulance as it takes him away. Sign on it that says quarantine. It just takes off.
That would be great, but that sounds like too much fun.
It's true. So, this is not a company long on imagination.
So the next match is a match that got changed. It got changed before it was announced, and then it got changed after it was announced. The Street Profits are going to defend against. They were going to defend against Angel Garza and Andrade. And first of all, this was changed because it was going to be the Street Profits versus the AOP. Akam or Razor, whichever one it was, tore his fucking bicep. So he's out of action. They were going to do that 4-way for the U.S. title, but Ray got quarantined. So then it became Angel Garza and Andrade getting a tag title shot out of nowhere just because they're good workers. Which, I get it. You have to make the best of a bad situation. But then Andrade got hurt. So now it's going to be the Street Profits versus Angel Garza and NXT's Austin Theory, according to all reports. And the good news about this match is Austin Theory, through working through Evolve, is used to working in front of no fans.
When you edit this later, please put a rim shot in there, if you don't mind.
I really should.
That was brilliant. You really should. It's the only thing this podcast lacks: sound effects. Well, Austin Theory, is he done getting beat to shit by Ciampa?
Yeah.
Have they revived him?
They kind of revived him, and then they had him lose to Tyler Breeze Wednesday night for no reason.
Good. This is a nice, strong match again against, as Jim Cornette called him, the twat, Angel Garza, versus Austin Theory, who's being beat to shit all around NXT. Terrific. This sounds like a great match for the Street Profits to continue their winning ways.
Yeah, and like I can't imagine the Street Profits losing here. It would absolutely make no sense at all.
If they put the tag titles on Austin Theory and Angel Garza, I quit. I just quit. I don't know what I'm quitting, but I quit, Larry. I will walk away from wrestling and go to live in the woods to live deliberately.
Well, I get you, Mark, because it would make absolutely no sense. Like, in theory, if it was Andrade and Garza, you could see them winning. Because then they could feud with Ray and Humberto a little more, and then eventually do that 4-way for the U.S. title. But yeah, with Austin Theory in here, there is no chance of any drama at all. Austin Theory is a fine little worker. I like Angel Garza a lot. Street Profits are fun. But again, you're asking a lot for a match with no build. There's going to be no heat in terms of drama. And the Street Profits, who I do really like, a lot of their act and match stuff thrives off of having a live crowd. And again, you're not going to have that.
No, you don't even have a ladder for Montez Ford to jump on from 80 feet away.
My man doesn't need a ladder. Have you seen that frog splash recently, dude? He's getting like 90 feet in the air without a ladder.
That's amazing.
It really is.
So yeah, but all of the little accoutrements that might have elevated this match are just not there for a variety of reasons. So I think they'll have. I mean, look, the Street Profits are very athletic and they are very fun to watch. It's going to be really sad when you had a line recently on one of your podcasts about, I believe it was Nikki Cross, which cracked me up hard. Where she did the come on panning to the crowd, and because they're in an empty room, got no reaction because duh. And you went, it's hard to untrain the robots, which I died laughing. So when they come out there wanting to smoke and jumping up and down and dancing and coming through the no crowd, it's going to be very, very sad, and I may need to drink hard.
Yeah, it is. And it is hard to, because that's the thing, dude. I mean, when you go to that performance center, like Seth Rollins has talked about in interviews, they tell you everything you did before you came here doesn't mean shit, and they essentially reprogram you as a wrestler.
What kills me is, they say Vince doesn't watch anything, and if you want him to see something so that you can get him to buy into an idea, you kind of have to shove it in his face. And I'm wondering if anybody took the, I think it was March 25th, AEW show where MJF and Sean Spears were betting on the matches and just showed him that episode. Because that's how you do these empty arena shows. Now I understand this last one wasn't great or whatever, but like that one where Matt Hardy and Brody Lee showed up, that was amazing. I loved that episode of AEW, and they did a lot of different things, and they had some of the wrestlers in the crowd, so they made it more dynamic, and they had fun with the atmosphere, such as it was. And I hope to God somebody somehow imparts that to Vince going forward with this show, or this is going to be a nightmare.
Well, the thing is, I don't think because AEW didn't do that this last week, because apparently they weren't allowed. They were told not to or whatever, but they had like some people backstage and like a production trailer, and like they were kind of doing similar things, but they didn't have them at ringside, so you didn't have that live noise. So, I mean, they tried to do some stuff, but I mean, yeah, I guess for whatever reason, they either opted not to or were told not to do it again.
All right, at this point, then, they need to just do tight shots on... They need to do it sitcom style. Tight shots on the ring and just canned laughter.
I mean, they need to do something. Like, they need to do tight shots on the action so you're not constantly reminded about this cavernous, empty little building. But the other thing on that is this. When you shoot that tight, all the light and loose and work is going to be exposed.
That's a good point. And this is where, you have TV and film people who work for you. You've made it a point because you wanted to present a entertainment product, not a sports product. This is where you have to put them to work and get creative. I said all that just to say that, like, I hope to God the Street Profits don't do their normal entrance and play to the situation, not do their usual shtick, or it's going to look really awkward and stupid.
Yeah. So, again, hoping they'll make the best out of the match. Because, again, I mean, Garza is good. Austin Theory is fine. I like the Street Profits. I mean, I don't think it's going to be bad. I just think that the advantages that the previous versions of the match had and that they would have had with a live crowd really takes away from whatever we're going to end up with because of the various quarantining and injury-related reasons.
No, and I know that some of the guys you bring on here, you can lean on them for more stricter analysis of the actual wrestling. Here's the thing with the WWE. All these guys trained in the Performance Center. They all trained to wrestle the WWE way, so that it's essentially... It's a replaceable parts form of wrestling. Some of those guys can, get a little bit more leeway. Some of them can elevate it and do something a little bit extra to make it special. But for the most part, whether it's, Elias, Corbin, Black, Lashley, Street Profits, and, Garza Theory, you're going to get replaceable parts, WWE style wrestling. It's all going to be just fine. It's hard for, some of these other matches when we talk about them, I'll have a little bit more to say about the actual wrestling. But for a lot of this, Larry, man, I don't know if you agree or not, but a lot of it's just like, yeah, it's WWE level, don't get too excited, don't get crazy style of wrestling, and everyone kind of stays in their paint by numbers, the paint by numbers training that they've gotten, which is unfortunate, but that's where we are.
Yeah, and never has the WWE product looked more sanitized than it does running into Performance Center. And like I've talked about their programming, how it's like very much the same, very much paint by numbers, very much safe. And then you put it into Performance Center and it's magnified even more.
The WWE gets by with a lot of sizzle. I mean, when you go to people because I complain a lot about the WWE wrestling. And they were like, well, why do you still then go to the big events? I'm like, because the atmosphere is fantastic. I love a good show, a good live show. I still go to concerts and stuff like that for the same reason. I used to take my kids to the circus, and we've been to the Ice Capades and stuff like that. I love a good, live, energetic, atmospheric event. And that's where the WWE does its best work in presenting those, not just moments, but, in presenting an event that you can take home with you, and it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good to be there. You take all of that away, and you're just left with replaceable parts wrestling. Oof. When the sizzle goes away, there's not much steak. It's kind of just sad-looking ground beef.
Yeah, and that's another thing too. It's like I've talked, like I mentioned about Street Profits. It's like there are certain things with certain acts that really add to an act. Like you look back. I'm working on a special little 2-part column gimmick coming up here. And something I'm talking about in one of the columns is the Rock versus Hogan WrestleMania 18 match.
I was there live for that.
Okay, that match is very good. It's a ton of fun. It's super enjoyable. It's what you wanted out of the aging star facing the star of this generation. You know what I mean? It had that crowd going into it, and just, it's great. But it's also one of those matches that is built completely off of star power and fan reaction. Because if you put mute on that match is kind of dog shit. It's not particularly laid out well. The execution is really bad at times.
Sure.
But the fact is, that's not the only part to a wrestling match. For as much as people like to say that you only talk about your supposed great wrestling and the moves. No, trust me, the story and everything and the element and just the situation you're in always adds to a match. And that is one of the greatest examples of that because, and again, obviously, wrestling is not designed to be in front of no fans. It's not designed for you to watch on mute. It's there for you to experience the fans, experience the commentary, experience the moment. And you can take something that is generally horrible or bad or whatever you want to call it, and you can make it almost great, which is Rock and Hogan.
I watched a Showbox boxing match right when it was the last boxing that was able to be done before everything got shut down, and that was a limited crowd. It was like family, the announcers, and that's it. And it looks like they shot it it was at Sam's Town, but it looks like they used only like half the room, and it's boxing. It's two guys having a real fight. There's no glitz or glamour about it. It was just straight up competition. You can do that sort of thing in an empty arena, and if you just focus on the athletic competition, that'll carry you through. I think even when the announcer said it was weird to do it first, but once they got going, it was fine, and it just felt like boxing. That's real sport. This is extravaganza. And even if you're talking like the Acid Cup that GCW put on, which was they shot 2 nights in a bar in Texas, but that at least had all the guys hanging around, and it had that underground punk rock feel to it, which you can get away with. But as you're saying, if you're just shooting in a gym and you take all of that away, now suddenly you realize that's not what this was ever meant to be. Wrestling was not meant to be. Now you're just watching a gymnastics performance, and that's not why any of us watch this stuff. I mean, yes, you are very you focus on the wrestling as you should, and certainly I like a good Kurt Angle, Chris Benoit, move focused match. But I think what the real draw is the story in both in the ring and out of the ring. It's the drama. And just what I've seen on Raw has been mostly utterly devoid of drama.
Yeah.
So I would imagine this is going to be much of the same thing.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but we're going to go on. SmackDown Women's Championship match. Bayley defending against Sasha Banks, Tamina, Naomi, and Lacey Evans. Dana Brooke originally was going to be into this, but is reportedly in quarantine after showing symptoms.
Oh, no.
My first thought is, why is Tamina in this match? That is the first. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. She's been there for like 12 years. She's like 41. She's had like 19 surgeries. She's never been healthy. She's never been good. What the fuck? Was Carmella too busy? Is she in quarantine too? Which, I mean, I guess it's possible. I haven't seen her in weeks, and I haven't seen Corey Graves around there in weeks either, so...
Isn't Nia Jax ready to go?
Oh, whoa. Are you acting like Nia Jax is any fucking better than Tamina? Really?
Well, hang on. They both suck.
I was gonna say,
but...
it's a lateral move at best, Mark.
But I mean, isn't this about stars? And isn't Nia Jax a star in a former women's
Listen, we
something
gotta
or other?
save Nia's return for the big Raw after WrestleMania, where that crowd is... fuck, man.
I see what you did there.
So, I mean, this match basically has no build. All it is Bayley is ran through the division. Paige randomly gets to show up and book a match, with the whole gimmick being, ha ha ha, I'm booking you and your best friend in this same match. With a bunch of fucking geeks.
Why don't they just book her versus Sasha Banks and cut all the fat out of this?
Because that's not the story. The story is that Bayley thinks they're still best friends. Sasha side-eyed her this week on TV. Sasha's going to win this match here. They're going to feud around, and they're going to have the big rematch at SummerSlam to try to relive the TakeOver Brooklyn match. That's my whole theory behind this.
Oh, I hope Bayley wears her Dusty outfit again.
Hell yeah.
Okay, sure. So Tamina may be there to get pinned?
Sure. I mean, that seems like the only logical reason, because I don't think you want to pin Tamina. I mean Naomi. I don't think you want to pin Lacey. Best not to have Sasha pin Bayley right away if they're going to feud and have a big singles match later on. So yeah, I mean, Tamina seems to be here to tap out or get pinned.
Who do you think's calling this match? And here's why I'm asking you this, because I don't think I've said on my own podcast, and I think I've said to you, Bayley works well with somebody who leads her. I don't think when she's leading, things go well for her. Too many of her matches are kind of clunky. Then there's not yet ready for prime time Lacey Evans, who got brought up way too soon and has had one clunker after another. I'm going to skip Naomi for the purposes of this bit. Sasha Banks also has 50% amazing and 50% clunky, and Tamina's a mannequin.
Yeah.
So is Naomi in charge of this fuckfest?
No, if I had to guess, judging by what I know about how they put past matches together, I would imagine that Bayley and Sasha are going to put a lot of this together for everybody. And that they're going to try to probably hold it together because the main story is going to be about them.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
What's the over-under for they all get injured by the time this is done?
I mean, Tamina's in there, so I mean, it's pretty high.
Oof. This is... Look, I like Bayley a lot. I love Lacey Evans's gimmick or wrestling. I've already talked about that. Naomi's a good athletic worker. This is going to be just a clunky train wreck. Yeah. Like bowling shoe ugly.
Yes, it looks very trashy on paper.
Terrific.
So, but yeah, I'm going to go with Sasha winning here, and just like I said, it's Jesus God, yeah, this could be so goddamn messy, dude.
This needs a drinking game. I don't quite know how that would work out yet, other than at the end of it you'd have alcohol poisoning. But I feel like between now and then you and I need to come up with rules for the Bayley versus SmackDown Women's drinking game.
Every time it looks like somebody dies or gets hurt, take a drink.
Perfect. All right, I'll see you at the hospital.
Right. So another title match coming up, made off of SmackDown. IC champion Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan. And, on paper, obviously, this looks like it can succeed because, first of all, Sami, when he's healthy, and we haven't really seen him in the ring and working healthy in a long time, Sami is obviously very good. Daniel Bryan's still great. And I think the advantage that these two have over a lot of other people on the roster is that in their times in the indies, they've talked about having to work in front of extremely small crowds that are essentially no crowds. So I think that's not going to bother them at all.
Yeah, I think this is going to be your workers' main event.
Oh, yeah, it definitely feels like it.
Yeah, this is this year's Savage Steamboat. I think this is going to be 5 stars. Meltzer amazing. Just, I think this, especially if these two kind of go into it like a suicide pact and be like, look, who knows when we're going to wrestle again? Who knows if we're going to get injured? I want to take time off. You want to take time off. Let's just go in there and be the best indie-rific, working crazy guys we can be. I think this is going to be the one that kind of saves this event from being a total shit show. And I think it's going to be universally praised.
I mean, I definitely think it has a good chance for that to be the case. Because like I said, I mean, we all know, like I said, when Sammy's healthy, Sammy's so fucking good. He is. And Daniel Bryan is still great. And like I said, though, I think that they have that extra added advantage from their indie experience of working, unfortunately, in front of crowds that have been 0 to 15. That
right. That's what feeds into my, like, I think this is what's going to make this. I think these are the two guys on the entire card who know how to make this fit the atmosphere.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to this one. I think Daniel Bryan's going to win. Title change.
Probably. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
So up next we have the epic storyline clash: Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
Huh?
Yes. Made on SmackDown, Otis versus Dolph Ziggler with Mandy Rose in Dolph's corner.
Well, first of all, why aren't they hanging Mandy Rose from the ceiling and making this a ladder match? That just sells itself.
I know. Put her in the little cage, let her dance like the early days of TNA.
Oh, could you imagine? And then like play music while the whole thing's going on. Do like a strobe effect and like make it club-like.
Nobody would pay attention to the match.
Well, who's paying attention to this anyway? It's fucking Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
Excuse me, Otis is a fucking gem and one of the most over guys in the company. God damn it!
Absolutely.
Of course,
and
again,
his fall that, and the fall he took off the porch, and in the elimination chamber that apparently killed him was amazing. I think a foot off the ground, and he acted like he fell off the Hell in the Cell. But I digress. How is this not Heavy Machinery versus Rude and Ziggler?
Because nobody cares about Tucker and Bobby Roode.
Oh, what breaks my heart? I love Bobby Roode.
I like Bobby Roode
He's
and I like
glorious.
Tucker a lot too, dude. But the feud is Dolph and Otis.
Okay, well, zigzag on Otis after he puts in the good fight, and then the bad guy wins the girl.
Yeah, I'm actually going to give the opposite. I think it's just like, I know there's nobody there, but the thing is, Otis was over, fans like him, they want to see him overcome the douchebag in Dolph Ziggler, and they want him to have a happy ending. And
that's right, that's what the fans want, so they'll put over Dolph Ziggler.
Probably knowing WWE, but I'm going Otis. I'm hoping for something happy to happen on this show.
Well, I've been mostly in agreement with you on this one, but I stand firm on my because fuck you, that's why pal stance.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong, dude, because it's very WWE to do that.
All right, then.
Next up, we are allegedly having a SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. Miz and Morrison versus the Usos versus the Newsday made on SmackDown. But wait! There was news coming out of the Mania tapings that The Miz was sick. That The Miz did not perform on WrestleMania. And that there was no tag team title match. Also, apparently, Miz showing up sick pissed off the Usos and the Big Dog as well.
Oh no.
So, they were not happy. And there's conflicting word coming out of the tapings. It's either that one of the Usos ended up facing Morrison and they had a ladder match, or that one of the Usos, Morrison, and Kofi had a ladder match and they were for the tag titles.
Okay. I was, as you were saying that, not knowing how this story broke, because I knew The Miz wasn't going to be there, but it seemed like the next logical in terms of fan enjoyment would have been Morrison versus Kofi Kingston. I would have even settled for Morrison versus Big E. But one of the Usos?
Well, because it was supposed to be a triple threat match.
How about just cut the Usos? How about send them home?
Well, because you had to do your overbooked finish on Friday night where Miz and Morrison ran in to cause no winner, thinking, we won't have any WrestleMania opponents, but they're stupid fucking heels, because every time the heels do that in wrestling, they end up in a triple threat match.
So let's go with Morrison versus Kofi Kingston? Is that right?
I guess, again, it's very sketchy information coming out because it's not like there were fans there to provide spoilers.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pick John Morrison, and I think he'll have a fun match with the ladder with two other people in there.
Yeah, it's hard to kind of nail down what we're going to happen. I think they may keep the titles on Miz and Morrison for now, but let me tell you, how fucking big a set of nuts do you have to go up to two or three dudes and say, hey, you know what? I know we're kind of fucked up and everything sucks right now. Can you guys go kill yourself and do a ladder match for 10 minutes in front of no fans? I mean, these fuckers better be getting bonused out the ass if that's the case.
Just people's just producers sitting around talking out loud about how can we freshen up this event? What can we do to make it livelier? And somebody throws out ladder, and John Morrison just runs to the bathroom crying.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. We'll see what the hell happens with this. Not announced, but kind of presumed coming out of SmackDown. It looks like we're to get Kabuki Warriors defending against Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross.
Allegedly, Asuka's off the event as well.
I've seen that allegedly she is, but I've also seen that she is and did tape a match. So it's a very conflicting time because it's hard to tell. First of all, they're still pushing Roman and Goldberg because they're going to wait till Friday to air an angle. And they're still pushing this tag title match.
Well, if they actually do the tag team match versus Bliss and Cross, I would go with Bliss and Cross because I think Vince McMahon's madly in love with Alexa Bliss. So as long as she's healthy and can compete, I'm sure he's had enough of the very entertaining Asuka and her little friend with the tag team titles.
Yeah, I think we might get a title change as well. It seems like, despite the fact that the Kabuki Warriors are extremely entertaining and can actually wrestle, that this is a thing that would piss Vince off.
Yeah. Agreed.
So now we kind of get into the more serious stuff. The Boneyard match.
The fuck is a Boneyard match? What are we in late 2000 WCW? Is Vampiro going to show up?
I'm guessing they're calling it Boneyard because they didn't want to say cemetery during the pandemic. Or graveyard match. But it's The Undertaker versus AJ Styles.
Or hospital, not medical facility.
Yes.
Or
you have to have your WWE produced vernacular, Mark.
Yes, sir. I'll be quiet. Please continue.
So, I'm looking at this match, and the first thing I can think of is I would have been really pumped for this fucking match about 5 years ago. But things have changed a lot. I mean, Undertaker hasn't been good for a couple years now. And the thing that makes all of his WrestleMania matches feel special is the whole ambiance of the Undertaker character, the pop for his trademark stuff, and the reaction for his epically long entrance. And This match will have none of that. So you have Taker, he's older, he's beaten down, he's not that good without all the little things that make his appearance special. And then you have AJ Styles, who I've talked for years. AJ Styles, one of my personal favorites of all time. I think he's fucking awesome. I've followed his whole career, but it's also at the same time, I have to admit, over the last 2 years or so, the one thing for sure is that he's farther away from being the phenomenal one than he is being closer to it. AJ's still good. I don't know if it's a combination of, or if it's just age, or if it's just injury, or if it's a combination of the both, or maybe he's just got that stage because he's getting a big paycheck to where he's just cashing a check. But all of AJ's stuff as of late kind of peaks at good. As the reviewers call them, a lot of gentlemen's threes. And it's, I love AJ, but I gotta be honest, I mean, he's not great right now. Taker's far from being great. And even with whatever the fuck this Boneyard gimmick is gonna be, and with whatever fucking interference they try to do, this one could be really bad.
They couldn't just do a casket match or a buried alive match?
Probably,
Boneyard,
I don't know.
really?
That might be part of the Boneyard match, but again, they're staying away from those terms because of the pandemic, Mark.
So let's talk about the Undertaker entrance for just a second. Did you ever see the movie Thor?
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Thor's trying to break into the military installation where they've got his hammer, and it's that like plastic tunnel, and he's fighting his way through it? That's what they need for the Undertaker. Just this long, like, medical tunnel that like stretches out into the PC parking lot. And, you know, and as he's just walking through, he has to occasionally like fight Gallows and Anderson, and we'll throw some other, you know, they're not doing a battle royal, so we'll throw a couple of other guys in there. You know, maybe get the Indian fella, you know, just a couple of NXT guys, and the Undertaker's just having to beat him down left and right like Thor did, and he finally gets he comes out of the tunnel and he finally gets to the PC, and there's AJ Styles, and AJ Styles takes advantage of a now tired and beaten up Undertaker who has fought through all these men, and then the Undertaker, or rather AJ Styles lets the Undertaker throw him around for 20 minutes, and then finally the Undertaker wins.
20 minutes? Are you fucking suicidal? You want AJ and Undertaker going 20 minutes in 2020?
I don't want the match to happen, but you know, here we are, and I figured that's what they'll give them because it's the Undertaker. On average, since WrestleMania 30, how long have his matches been?
Not very long. I should say that way.
Okay, 10 minutes. How about that?
I don't even know if I want 10. I mean, first of all, I don't know why I should care about this feud. All AJ does is call Undertaker Old Man Mark, and that his wife's making him wrestle. And then all I've seen from The Undertaker is he flew to Saudi Arabia, he beat the fuck out of AJ's friends, he chokeslammed AJ and pinned him without even taking his goddamn coat off, and then he arrived and he beat the shit out of him on a pay-per-view so Aleister Black can win. Why do I care? AJ Styles has had his ass beat repeatedly by an old man he says can't beat him, but I've seen him beat him twice already.
This will be different. AJ Styles, he'll bump for the Undertaker. He'll 10 minutes. I'm trying here, man. I don't know. What do you want me to keep making jokes? More Marvel references? What do you want from me?
I'll take the Marvel references at this point, but Jesus God, I don't just 20 minutes with these fuckers. That would just be like, God, I don't want to sit through the 4 hours as it is, and that's just going to make it feel like 20.
All right, so what if AJ Styles is standing in the middle of the ring, but he's got the Infinity Gauntlet? Never mind. Go ahead.
All I know is, Mark, I'm already older. I was 43 going into SmackDown Friday night. I'm 47 now because they re-aired Triple H versus Roman Reigns from WrestleMania 32.
Oh. Oi.
That was their big idea to fucking hype up Roman as a world title contender, was showing him beat Triple H for the title in a 27-minute match that felt like it was 87.
They should have showed Brock versus Roman Reigns, where Roman Reigns was beat stupid and laughing bloodily into the camera, and then Seth won.
Well, at least that was entertaining.
It's my favorite one yet.
That was entertaining.
It damn sure was.
I love that, but I'm guessing the Undertaker wins because it's WrestleMania, and you know Vince doesn't want Taker losing to anybody, and it's not like AJ's ran off a great streak of WrestleMania matches. I mean, when you're hanging your hat on my best Mania match was with Shane McMahon, that's not saying a lot.
How did he wrestled Jericho in his debut, right?
Yeah, it was
in his WrestleMania debut.
It was good, but was missing something.
Yeah, it was disappointing, is what it was, as was the entire Dallas card. But I remember that, and I was like, oh, that should have been much better.
Yeah. So, but I'm guessing Undertaker wins because, first of all, I guess it might literally be taking place in his yard. So he has the home field advantage.
Oh, that'd be great because, like, in the middle, because actually now I want something completely different. I want them to have like a fist fight in the Undertaker's backyard, and like Michelle just comes out, stop already, and like gives them lemonade, like talk it out.
Yeah, Michelle comes out, Mark, it's time for dinner. You and your friends have to come in and stop playing.
No, even better. Just have Michelle be like just the nagging, horrible wife. So like it's just 10 minutes of her intermittently yelling, "Mark, did you take out the garbage?"
Well,
Mark!
here's the sad thing though. I almost don't believe I'm saying this because I never would have said it 5 years ago. They'd probably be better off running AJ versus Michelle. That feud has heat from 10 years ago when she used the quote-unquote faith breaker, which was the Styles Clash. I'm telling you, there was the built-in feud there.
Didn't half the people who got the Styles Clash take it wrong and get paralyzed?
There were people that took it wrong and got hurt. Yeah, Yoshitatsu in Japan.
The fuck is Michelle McCool doing that move for then?
She actually never had a problem doing it, honestly.
Oh, good. Good for her.
Because the people that took it weren't stupid.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. But, I mean, yeah, but I'm guessing Undertaker wins. You say Mark, or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Because you can't go against a guy named Mark, so.
Absolutely.
So, from everything I've heard, this one is still on as well, despite there being some rumors out there. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins.
Oh, my God. Speaking of feuds that never end. So a lot of what I said about Sami Zayn and Daniel Bryan kind of applies here. I think they know that this is, it's big match time. This is where they get a lot of latitude. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins, both former Ring of Honor guys, that know how to work, that can work small, they can work stadium. I think they're not dumb either. I think Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins understand the situation that they're in. They also understand they've been feuding since the Civil War, I think. And so I think they'll pull out something special, and this will be a lot of fun. Kevin Owens has to win because he's the hero.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it definitely has a chance to be good and a lot of fun. For kind of the same reasons as you mentioned, as Sami and Bryan. It makes a lot of sense. I like both guys generally, but goddamn, I'm sick of the feud. I am so sick of the feud, and it's like, it's just been, part of it's that it's a different version of the feud every week between 18 different people. And then it's the fact that, like, the heels always win, which I guess is fine if you're building to that big babyface culmination. So they kind of have to give it here, but if they don't, that would be absolutely horrible. Because the only thing Kevin's done here is, like, he cost Seth the tag titles. But
they also dumped popcorn on him.
Well, yeah, but that was why he was doing that. But otherwise, it's been him getting his fucking face American History X'd into the fucking mat every goddamn week. So it's like, I don't know, dude. It's just like, yeah, give me something here. But like, all I know is like, I really want Kevin Owens to win, and I really want both of these guys to go their separate ways. They need to get away from each other in the worst way.
The Monday Night Messiah thing had so much promise. It really, kind of like CM Punk's Straight Edge Society. Like, if they had just given him a little bit of latitude creatively, and they really leaned into Seth Rollins' like legitimate complaints about the fans and the industry at large, the Monday Night Messiah thing could have been so much fun. Because he's such a smarmy hipster heel with his man bun that's so hateable. And I love it. I love the fact that Seth Rollins hits just the right note to make you want to see him set on fire. And Kevin Owens plays a great everyday man heel, but this feud just has no life because they won't let Seth say anything too outrageous. And they won't let Kevin Owens be stone cold and drive trucks to the ring and do something over the top crazy. And so you get Saturday morning cartoon version of Austin Foley or Austin Rock. And it's just so aggravating because I wanted so much more out of this feud, and it's underwhelming as a word. But we're here to talk about the wrestling in this particular match, so I'm going to kind of try to forget the last 18 years of this feud and just focus on how much I like to see these guys wrestle, and I think it'll be just fine.
I hope so. And like I said, I think just the most important thing is I think Owens needs to win, and I think that they need to separate these guys. They never need to wrestle going in again. A different direction and working with other people, and they just need to do something because it feels just really stale at this point, and it's not going to get any better if they keep it going with no fucking crowds either.
No, this has to be the blow-off. If this thing goes to SummerSlam, I quit.
Okay. Start writing it down, everybody. Mark's going to quit twice at least so far. So,
if we keep going, I'll add a few more.
Next up, the NXT Women's Championship being defended on this card. Champion Rhea Ripley defending against Charlotte. And I'm going to be honest, Charlotte winning the Rumble, it was not surprising because Charlotte gets a lot of the first accolades. We jokingly call her, between like Kevin and I, Lady Big Dog because she's basically female Roman Reigns. She wouldn't have been my first choice to win, and when she did, one hope Kevin and I had was maybe they're going to do something with Rhea. And that's what they did here, and I like it because Rhea was coming off of the huge Survivor Series weekend. She won the title. They were making a concerted effort to make her a big star. And then she was going to get this WrestleMania opportunity, which was going to be huge, working in front of, depending on what numbers you believe, 67 and 80,000 people. For entertainment purposes only, remember?
This is a mirror match for me. And I'm referencing the Star Trek episode. In the good universe, Rhea Ripley, Charlotte puts over Rhea Ripley big and makes her an even bigger star, and Rhea Ripley goes on to big and wonderful things in the near future. However, in the evil universe, where you have to stab the guy above you to get ahead, and Spock has an evil mustache, Charlotte Flair wins and runs roughshod over the NXT women's division, and I quit and go into the woods to live deliberately.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to kind of be with you on that one. I think it would be a horrible move for Charlotte to go over Rhea. Absolutely. Yeah. Not only horrible, but completely fucking useless. Charlotte does not need another WrestleMania win at this time. She does not need a win over Rhea Ripley right now for sure. And the thing is like Charlotte is like a fucking made woman. First of all, she's Charlotte Flair. Second of all, they've given her all these firsts. They're very much behind her. And again, I go back to the joke. She's fucking Lady Big Dog. She is always going to be one of the top women in that division. Losing to Rhea Ripley is not going to hurt her at all. Rhea Ripley losing to Charlotte is going to damage Rhea Ripley, though, because people are just going to... It's going to be another one of those, oh, look at another NXT star that's not as good as everybody said.
So, in the evil universe where Charlotte Flair wins the NXT title, the only way that this makes even a modicum of sense would be if simultaneously they build up a babyface on NXT to next year take the title off Charlotte Flair after she's done her best imitation of Triple H's Reign of Terror. And if that's the way if this is the Charlotte Flair Reign of Terror over NXT, and now that I've put that into the universe, it's probably going to happen. You can yell at me if you want. Who would you say, who finally puts an end to the Reign of Terror next year on NXT?
Well, technically, there's a built-in story with Bianca Belair.
That's true.
Because of Charlotte, attacking her and beating her on TV and, basically telling her that she's not in her league either and stuff. You could easily do that. I mean, honestly, if you're going, if you're looking for the best match, I'd go EO.
It's not a bad one. I'm trying to think of some of the girls that recently, you have Shotzi Blackheart, who's down there. You've got Chelsea
Shotzi
Green,
has a ton of charisma and a lot of potential, but she's extremely unrefined, and I'm not sure if in a year she would be ready for a WrestleMania.
Okay.
That's just my opinion. I think she has a lot of potential and everything. Definitely charismatic, but she's somebody that I think just needs time to work out rough edges. I do think she can be a future star for him, though.
Mm-hmm. What about Tegan Nox?
I love Tegan. I don't know if the company would be willing to get behind her for a year-long storyline due to her history with injuries.
Okay.
I mean, Tegan's great. But I mean, I just think that WWE at this point is going to be really hesitant with her because, she's blown her knee out twice under their watch, 2 knees.
Oof. Okay. And I would say it was probably, right now Dakota Kai's a heel, and I think she's a better heel than she was a face. But I don't see Dakota Kai rehabilitating herself as a character and becoming the face that ends the reign of terror in a single year. It just seems unlikely.
Yeah.
That and she's also got shot knees.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see what happens, but I mean, I do like the mirror references, by the way. Those are always appreciated on my podcast. And I want to throw out there.
That's what I'm here for.
I do want to...
Not a lot of wrestling insight, but boy, do I got pop culture references for days.
And I will throw out the fact that Deep Space Nine's version of the Mirror episodes were highly underrated by many.
I love Deep Space Nine. I actually made a Deep Space Nine reference recently with now before you enter a medical facility or when I go to work, before I show up for work, you have to have your temperature taken to make sure you don't have the coronavirus. And it made me think of the Deep Space Nine episode where the members of Starfleet are meeting with the Klingons to deal with the Dominion, and they're like, "All right, before anyone says anything, we're gonna make sure we're all who we say we are," and they all have to cut their hands.
Yeah. I've done in the last calendar year, Mark. I've probably done at least 2 complete rewatches of Deep Space Nine.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wow, I did not know you were such a big fan. I love that show.
Dude, I'm a big Star Trek fan to the point that, like, if you guys remember, and you'll probably remember it, I don't know if you had the service, but as Netflix was coming around, remember when Blockbuster got into the through mail DVD service as well?
Yes.
Okay, well, with your Blockbuster subscription, obviously, like membership, we would do that, and Christy and I would get 3 discs at a time of, at the time we were watching Voyager. We were doing a watch through of it. And so we would get the 3 discs, and we would take like 4 hours and watch all the episodes and mail them back the next day. That was like our nightly activity for the longest time. And then for her birthday that year, I had actually found the entire DVD set of the series, and I bought it from like China on eBay.
Nice.
To the fact that the season 6 discs are mislabeled as Deep Space Nine, and they don't say season 6, they say season. But it's like funny, and like we always laugh about that. But yeah, no, big Star Trek house over here, dude. Except the new movies, I do not partake.
I have seen them for purposes of review. They are not Star Trek films. They are action space fantastic.
If you want to call them that, sure, yeah. Yeah, they're not for me. But yeah, I mean, I love the mirror references. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you could do the thing with Charlotte, man, but I think that if you're taking time to put Rhea on Mania and you're making a big deal about the first NXT championship being defended on WrestleMania, and then you have her lose, you're doing the brand dirty in a year where you're doing the brand dirty anyway by canceling TakeOver and, running a show that's nothing but video packages, and you can't even throw them a bone with a throwback match with their collection of matches, and kind of tanking on their ratings.
Everything you're saying is true, but I posit one more defense of my position of the Charlotte Reign of Terror, that angle that I just made up out of nothing.
Okay.
Vince McMahon likes blondes with big boobs.
What the fuck is Rhea then?
Not blonde?
Oh, she is blondish hair.
Not currently. She used to have blonde hair.
It doesn't look blonde because it's like, it's a little more brownish, but it's wet all the time.
Yeah.
Vince also likes women that have unnecessary plastic surgery, so that's where Rhea loses out.
Yeah, exactly. There we go. Now you're seeing it my way. So yeah, I'm 50-50 on this. If you put a gun to my head and said you have to pick one, I'm gonna say hopefully in this one, stupid doesn't win out, and Rhea Reigns gets put. Rhea Ripley gets put over big time. But there's that small voice in the back of my head that says Vince, blondes, big boobs, Reign of Terror, Charlotte.
Yeah, and I'm worried about that as well. Don't get me wrong, I really am. Next up, we're going to do another title match. Drew McIntyre challenging Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship. And let me tell you, when this match was first made, I was very excited. And there was nothing more that I wanted to see than Drew just fucking slay Brock really quick with a couple claymores. That's it.
Boo.
Fucking take him out. Revenge on Brock for his path of destruction. Make a new fucking star.
Boo.
You're a horrible person, Mark.
I've been told.
But, it's like, because the thing is, Brock ain't going to be around forever. You have to make new stars, and they don't do that really well. This was a big chance, and I think that Drew should win, and I was hoping he would win in dominant fashion, but I'm worried that that's not going to happen under these circumstances. I think Vince is going to get cold feet on strapping him up with no fans around there to see Brock slain and ended, and for this big moment. And I also think that I've heard some rumblings Brock is being a bit hard to work with again. He's making some demands on Vince. He hates travel. He didn't want to travel to do this. And obviously there's nothing a big old check can't fix with Brock. I mean, we all know that. So, I mean, I think there's definitely a chance that he drops this. I think he should drop it. But I think at the end of the day, Vince gets cold feet and Brock uses his power a little bit. And I think that I think they put it off, and I think Brock's going to win. I think it's going to kind of suck.
I agree with you. I think Brock is the Highlander. There can be only one, and he will take Drew McIntyre's soul and his power, and he will be cast aside. And Brock will move on to SummerSlam, defeat whoever's in his way there, and we'll keep moving on to Survivor Series and then the Rumble. And your winner of the 2021 Royal Rumble, as the world comes back to life and the flowers bloom and the pandemic goes away, is my man, newly signed, your host of WrestleMania, Gronk. I flexed when I did that, by the way. I did the,
I run a website has a comment section, and I see a lot of horrendous fantasy booking. And I just want to tell you that may be the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
Oh, wait, I'm not done. Because now Gronk is your Royal Rumble 2021 winner. And he points at the sign like they all do. And he says, Gronk, Brock, Mania. Oh, I can see the posters. I can see Brock versus Gronk. Say it. Say it like you're gold dust. Gronk, Brock, WrestleMania, Los Angeles, bright lights, big cities, Hollywood, Godzilla, King Kong.
Shit on a shingle.
This is what we came. You and your wrestling has to be good. Brock Lesnar, Gronk. That's what I'm here to see.
It's not even that I like the good wrestling. Did you see fucking Gronk's debut on SmackDown?
Where he did an impression of a leprechaun?
It was
yes,
like
I saw
the
that.
worst, most ridiculous fucking thing in the world. This dude has just got signed and he's already a robot. He comes out there dancing like there's people out there. And then him and Mojo are like the stupidest people I've ever seen together. Oh, let's trip up King Corbin. LOL, we're so funny together. No. God, I don't want that fucker anywhere near that.
Well, I've put it into the universe now, so we'll see what happens.
I just want everybody to know that if this comes true, you can wish a corona-related death on Mark.
Oh, that's not nice at all.
Well, I mean, you're putting the dirtiness out there with these Charlotte title wins and Gronk winning the Royal Rumble. I mean, I'm sorry. What you get, you deserve at this point, Mark.
You're not the first nor the last person to wish death on me for these things.
The wrath will come down on you.
That being said, yeah, I don't see them putting Drew McIntyre over. This is supposed to be a celebration of your newly minted night, and they're not going to waste it here. They'll probably do it in Boston, provided the world comes back to life by then, if I could be serious for a moment. So I think we get Drew Brock 2, Electric Boogaloo in Boston at SummerSlam. And for the meantime, in between time, I think to save ourselves, to save our souls, Brock defeats Drew McIntyre in like a matter of minutes. Like it's just one of those suplex here, there, and everywhere. F5 pin, and Brock gets back on his private plane to Saskatchewan.
That's very likely what will happen. I wouldn't doubt it. But poor Drew. Finally looked like this was going to be his time after them fucking around like the whole time he's been there. And what do you know? A pandemic comes about.
What if WrestleMania next year were like an elimination chamber, but it's like Brock, Gronk, Cain Velasquez, Tito. Come on, I need two more to make this really ridiculous. Help me.
No, I refuse to be a part of this. I am not being taken down by you putting out this bad juju in the universe. No.
Goldberg. How did I forget Goldberg?
Nope. Not happening. We're going to have a Firefly Funhouse match, whatever the fuck that is, with John Cena facing off with The Fiend, Mark.
I heard their confrontation as when he was Bray Wyatt and he confronted Cena in the empty arena. I heard that was good. I didn't see it. I haven't seen any of SmackDown since before all this started. So how was that? Was that decent?
Their confrontation on SmackDown was actually good. It was well done. It made sense. Because Cena was out there kind of talking, and then basically it was Bray talking about how you brought this on yourself. You created me 6 years ago when you ruined me and all that shit. It was actually well done, yeah.
Okay.
So this week's big build was Bray and the Firefly Funhouse making a secret energy drink to beat John Cena, which included him blending up Rambling Rabbit in the blender with the drink and drinking it.
Did he pull up his pants and do the Muscle Man dance?
No, but he killed poor Rambling Rabbit again.
How many times has Rambling Rabbit died?
I believe 5 at this point.
My goodness. Got more lives than a cat. I don't know. The logic dictates that the Fiend finally get his win over John Cena, since John Cena, this poor bastard. I feel more sorry for him because his damn movie got delayed for a year. He finally gets into, he's finally not doing, kid pictures, and he's doing a super duper $1 billion blockbuster in F9, Fast 9, and because of said pandemic, delayed an entire year. You poor bastard, John Cena. That said, yeah, I guess the Fiend probably wins here. I hope he's been using this time to shed a few pounds. He's getting portly again, or at least he was getting portly the last time I saw him. Because he looked really good when they debuted this character, and he had shed some weight, and then he seemed to have put a lot of the weight back on again. So I'm hoping he comes in a little trimmer for this. I guess we'll see.
I mean, one would hope so, and I think that I want to be clear because I feel the same way actually, Mark, and I know people are going to be like, "Oh, you're fat shaming Bray." Listen, nobody expects a Bray Wyatt or a Kevin Owens to look like a fucking Adonis. All Mark is saying is when Bray came back and we started the Fiend gimmick, and I do agree with this, he was in the best shape I had ever seen him in. He really was. He had trimmed down. And again, he's not going to be fucking Muscles McGee out there. But trimming down and just looking a little more brawler badass did a world of good with that gimmick change. And when you're kind of, when you kind of start chubbing up again to where it looks like, and I don't know what it is, maybe he's injured because he hasn't wrestled a ton. Maybe there's something going on we don't know about. But when it appears you're starting to put back on the weight, it makes it look like you're not trying.
Look, here's the thing. I have no problem with Otis or Kevin Owens or anybody who is supposed to look hefty. If you can move and you can wrestle, great. And it's not something I talk about. But first of all, he's running like a half clown punk rock gimmick going on with those pants and everything, which now look too tight for his body because he put back on weight. So all I'm saying is if you're going to do that, be in the shape that makes that character look good. Don't mess it up by getting too heavy. If he wants to go back to wrestling in white pants and an apron, be as fat as you want. I don't really give a shit. But if you're going to do the Fiend, go be in Fiend shape, not in sad fat kid with a scary mask, which is what he looked like the last time I saw him. It was the Goldberg match. It was Super Showdown. where when it was over, and he just looked like a sad fat kid, and I was like, oh, come on, that's not what I want to see here. Get into shape here.
Yeah, and the worst part about that was he did not go up at all for that jackhammer, and it looked like shit.
Right, and that's the other thing. Like, like somebody like an Otis or Tucker or like Big E, who are bigger guys, but can, get up and, and be there for the people they're wrestling with and take care of them. Great. You're not going to hear me make a lot of comments like this. But if you're going to put on weight and then not be as athletic or agile, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I look at this match and it sucks that they finally get Cena to come back for a Mania match. And it's a Mania match that made sense to book him and The Fiend and to book Reigns and Goldberg, because those were matches in theory that improved the card, because Cena and The Fiend have a history. Reigns and Goldberg on paper is a much bigger and better match than Reigns and The Fiend. And then you get this fucking pandemic and there's going to be no fans there. So now you have John Cena back finally, and he's doing TV appearances and nobody's there to see it.
Here's the one positive thing I'll say about this. Much, like, as stupid as the Boneyard match thing is, that's got to be something they're going to have fun with and do cinematically. Same thing here. I'm sure, because this will lend itself, because they don't have to worry about. It's one of the things where they don't have to worry about a live crowd, so they can really have fun with this and really make it special and cinematic and, shot specifically for television. I think it could be great. I think as a gimmick, as a fun, entertaining segment, I think this could be over the top, exciting. If they're capable of such creativity.
The counterpoint to that is, and I largely agree with your point, is that I think when they get something like this to where they feel they're going to have a lot of freedom and they can try stuff, I also feel that this is where WWE does not know how to edit themselves. I greatly fear that they're going to get in there and look at this as like the new toy thing, and they're going to try to do something cool, and it's going to end up in an overly long, overly produced mess of things.
It's going to be the Homer's new car of WrestleMania matches.
That very well could be. Or it could be that wacky match that they did with Bray and Randy Orton in the house.
Ugh, I was there for that live. You're talking about the one where... Wait, are you talking about the WrestleMania where they were doing projections?
No. I'm talking about the rematch they did later where they fought in a house. It was like a House of Horrors match.
God, I vaguely remember this.
Because at the end of it, Bray's laying there, and he looks like he's in a fucking crack house, laying on the kitchen floor, and it's the most embarrassing thing.
I must have blocked that from my memory, but yeah, now that you mention it, now it's triggered. I kind of remember that, and I kind of remember it being C-level movie bad.
Yeah, and again, I like a good B movie. I like a good grindhouse movie. I like stuff. I fucking loved Lucha Underground. I can get into that stuff if it's done well. I just hope that like I said, that it's not an overdone production and that it's not overly long. Because I think that for something like that, it can be really good, but you also kind of have to stay in your lane with it. Because once it goes too long, it's like any wrestling match. And I've talked about this for a long time. And I'm going to say it again because I want to make it clear. And I'm talking about every goddamn company. Not every fucking wrestling main event needs to be over 30 fucking minutes. Okay? I'm looking at you, Okada. I'd love for you to break out a fucking random 13-minute main event for me one day, okay? I'm talking about everybody, though. Because fucking indies are doing it now. WWE does it. Impact does it. Everybody feels like they have to try to put on the forced epic. The forced Triple H epic style match. And when you try to do the epic, oftentimes that is when you fail. So hopefully they go into this. Bray is a pretty creative fucking dude. Hopefully he has some really good ideas. They do some fun stuff with it. Maybe you get Jeremy Borash involved because he was really instrumental in shooting all the Broken Hardy stuff. And maybe, like you said, Mark, maybe it ends up being a lot of fun and it's really cool.
I think they need to go full Nightmare on Elm Street with this. Just like put Cena on a wire and like just have him be like Nancy, just like flying around the room and rolling up the wall and the ceiling. Make the Fiend kind of lean into the Freddy Krueger thing. Oh, it would be fantastic. So, and I'm not like a big horror fan, but just go crazy.
Yeah, and that's kind of the other thing too. I think if you're gonna do it, it's not only important for it to be not too long, but if you're gonna do something like this, you need to lean in and do it 100%.
Hey, I don't know if this is too far off topic, but you talked about you just said something and it triggered this. Did you watch the Benoit Dark Side of the Ring?
Yes, I did. I actually recorded a big show on it with Jerome the other night. That's going to be airing. So,
not to go too far off topic, but when they got into the CTE section of that documentary, gosh, all I could think about was I think it was Naito and Ibushi who had that series of matches where they kept landing on their heads.
Yeah,
that's all I could think about.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know it's...
No, that's fine. Although with them, I'm honestly a little more worried neck damage-wise than I am concussion-wise. Because, I mean, they both haven't had a ton of concussions, although a few is enough. But, I mean, my major thing is someone's going to snap a goddamn neck. But... yeah. Hopefully not. But, yeah, the Benoit stuff... Oh, Christ, that was an emotionally draining watch.
Yeah, I watched that with my wife, and I got... all of 30 seconds into it, they showed in just the preview, like the pre-trailer before they go into the show proper, and they show the picture of Nancy, Chris, and Daniel at their wedding, and immediately I just started bawling. Yeah. Like, well, I didn't even make it into the show.
Yeah, it's a completely emotionally draining watch, and like I say in the show I do with Jerome, I say it's like it's a highly recommended watch. It's very well done, but don't go into it looking for a happy time watch, and don't go into it expecting to feel really good coming out of it.
Nope. And I got mad at Nancy Grace all over again.
Oh, yeah. That's easy to do.
Yes, sir.
So, yeah, the Fiend should win, man, because it's like John's not coming back to work full time. And, it's like you're trying to tell the story of the Fiend getting his revenge, and just do it and let him fucking move along. And you use John Cena to put somebody over, and it makes sense because he came in and said that he's not going to be here regularly and all that stuff, and even T's not doing Mania. Makes no sense for him to win.
100% agree with you.
The next match we're going to talk about is easily the best built thing on this entire show. The Last Man Standing match with Edge and Randy Orton.
I'm sorry. Ugh. Go on.
Just horrible, Mark. So
I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
I really like this. Obviously, we go back to the Rumble. We had the big surprise return of Edge. Hey, thanks AEW, because they were talking to Edge, and Edge scored a sweet $3 million a year deal from that.
God bless him.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can't hate on that. Brother got a wife and a couple girls. He wants to put through college. $3 million a year. Do a lot for that.
By the time his girls are ready to go to college, it may be $3 million a year.
That's no joke. So, but I've really thought that this feud has been well done, strongly executed. We've gotten a lot of good promos from the guys. I thought the Randy and Beth segment was actually really good too, and I like that they're doing a Last Man Standing match, because you can't just do a basic fucking professional grappling match after one dude tries to end another dude's career. The thing that comes along with that though is first of all, Last Man Standing matches aren't easy to do, because you don't have the advantages of near falls and submissions throughout. And then it's going to be even a bit harder here because there's no crowd to play off of. So we'll see how they work that out. The other thing I'm worried about is I'm very certain that Edge is going to be fucking trying to deliver a WrestleMania match here. And I don't think that Randy Orton by any means dogs it, but over the past couple years, it's very clear that Randy Orton gets into Randy Orton mode where he gets locked into doing what he wants to do. He rarely deviates from that, and he very rarely goes outside the box, unless it's Brock legit busting him fucking open at SummerSlam.
So here's the thing with this. First of all, I hate Randy Orton, except for when Randy Orton's a lunatic. I like crazy Randy Orton. I like intermittent explosive disorder Randy Orton. And I still say his match at the end of the Angle with Triple H was one of the worst things I've ever seen, because they built up the fact that these two hate each other and they're attacking each other's families, and Randy's a lunatic, and then they had a wrestling match. That said, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I do.
Lunatic Randy versus WrestleMania moment Edge. These two guys know each other. They've been in the business a long time. They know how to put on memorable matches. I think they're going to deliver here. I think Randy will be up for this. I think this is something Randy wants to do, and so he doesn't want to just dogfuck it. I think Edge, because he's not working the grinding typical WWE schedule, will go, and this is his big comeback. Will go out of his way to do some extra special stuff. Again, last man standing matches suck for the crowd, because these things go into toilets and they go into, the concession stands and stuff, and they go into boiler rooms. They go all over the place. They go into parking lots. They go into the East River. So when you don't, so much like I said with the other matches that aren't traditional wrestling matches, the camera can go anywhere and they can do anything, and they can really make this a cinematic experience. So I think this is going to be one of the better matches on the card. And while, again, I'm not a huge fan of Randy Orton, and I was in the minority, I didn't care that Edge came back, I'm up for this match. I'm up for this experience, and I think this is going to be one of the matches leading the pack on this whole experience, this whole event.
It wouldn't shock me if it was. I really hope it is, because I'm excited for it. Again, I think it's been easily the best built-up thing on this show. Next, we go to the Raw Women's Championship match. Shayna Baszler challenging champion Becky Lynch. And, you look back, Becky's had a good year as champion. She's had a strong run despite not having the best challengers most of the time. But I think a lot of it during her run lately is she's been slowly changing into kind of an overconfident, unlikable champion, and losing that side of her that the fans really liked. And I think that is by design, in part because I think they're setting up for her fall. I think Shayna coming off of her NXT Women's Championship run and the Elimination Chamber primed her to take the title here. And I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't change my mind on this one. I think you go Rocky 3 with this one. I think you have Shayna just largely fucking wreck her. Because Becky is the overconfident champion, living a life of stardom, forgetting the performer she was that brought her to the championship. Shayna doesn't give a fuck. She gives no fucks, and she's just going to beat shit out of her and win. Which is...
I like your...
real quick, this is what I think it should be, and then you build up the Becky Lynch redemption arc to where she has to get back to herself, and you pay it off at Survivor Series or the Rumble next year, and then you move on.
I like your Rocky reference. I'm here for your Rocky reference, and I hope that's what they do. However, I see a different boxing movie here. I see the Great White Hype. I think Shayna Baszler gets in there, and Becky must pose. Bing, bang, boom. Becky wins.
That would be horrible.
It would be.
That would be fucking horrible. Oh, I hope you're wrong, but we'll see. And that brings us to the last match, the Universal Championship match. The champion, Bill Goldberg, was supposed to face against the big dog, Roman Reigns. He is now reportedly facing off with Braun Strowman, Mark.
Yeah.
What are you thinking?
I think Braun Strowman gives it his best college try. Spear, jackhammer, Goldberg retains.
Yeah, I think they had times to put Braun over as a champion and they refused to. He's older now. He's had a couple injury issues coming off his powerlifting background just because that wear and tear on the body. I'm not really sure, despite the fact that they've re-signed him for a good deal, that they're interested in putting the World Championship either version on him. And I think that the goal is going to be to keep it on Bill Goldberg, so I agree with you, and that they're going to build to Goldberg versus Roman maybe at SummerSlam or something.
So a couple of things here. One, Braun Strowman is the new Big Show. He's here. He's the jobber to the superstars. He's here to be in big matches for your champion or your face or whatever to go over. But he's basically the Big Show. The WWE is trying to get some of that UFC pay-per-view money, as I know you guys have talked about on here. And that strap's not coming off Goldberg until that happens.
I also think that's why it's not coming off Brock either.
And then third, they're not going to take the belt off Goldberg now when they can crown Roman at SummerSlam or some other big event. This is, had this been in Tampa, well, boy, this whole review would have been different, wouldn't it? But had this been in Tampa, I would have gone the other way. Roman wins, et cetera, et cetera. But given where we are right now in the world, there's no way Goldberg loses this title. They'll save that match for when they can do it at a big stadium, either later in Boston or maybe next year in Los Angeles.
Yeah, and the other thing is Braun didn't make any friends over the past 2 weeks.
What an asshole!
Yeah, because if you guys don't know, first of all, for no reason, he decided that he was going to get into a little online kerfuffle with fucking Lance Archer. Because people were talking about Lance Archer being better than him and that maybe Braun should have been presented the way Lance was when they did that vignette on TV with him killing like 18 indie jobbers in a ring on a private property.
It's like they wanted Braun Strowman to be presented as a large backyard wrestler.
Well, I think they wanted Braun to be presented as somebody who was actually a badass, not a fucking goof that loses to everybody and then dances with the New Day later.
Hey, not for nothing, but that man tipped an ambulance over back in the day.
Yeah, and I think everybody's forgot about that.
I haven't. I remember you, Braun, when you were something.
And then the other one, the big one, was he fucking goes after Evil Uno, who was supporting out support for independent wrestlers who were going to be losing a lot of money during this whole coronavirus thing. Because for a lot of independent wrestlers, independent wrestling is their full-time thing where they make most of their money. And a lot of them make the bulk of their money for a good portion of the year over Mania weekend. Now, Evil Uno wasn't saying, hey, just give these fuckers random money. He was like, if it's in your means, he basically said, donate to a Patreon, buy a shirt, do what you can if you're in position to do so.
If you don't mind, just an example of this. So not with wrestling, but with bands in two particular cases. You had the Dropkick Murphys, who did a St. Patrick's Day live stream concert, which my family and I watched. And then they were like, hey, our whole tour got canceled because of this, but we did this show. If you wouldn't mind, buy a shirt. I bought two, one for myself, one for my daughter. In the case of Crowbar, I don't know if you're familiar with the band Crowbar at all, but their whole tour got canceled over the spring, and they were like, well, we're sitting on like thousands of T-shirts here. If you have the opportunity, if you have the money, please buy a shirt for our horrible canceled tour. And you know what, Larry? I bought a shirt. First of all, I thought the shirt looked awesome. It's the leaf, what the full name of it is, but it's that like New Orleans Saints logo. It says Crowbar on it. And it looks really, really cool. And I'm like, who the fuck is Crowbar? I'll support Crowbar. I remember seeing them with Pantera years ago. I'll throw a little money at these guys and help them out. And there's little things like that happening all over the place, not just in wrestling, in music, and people who survive in the gig economy. There's all kinds of people going, here's a few bucks, for a thing to help you out. This is not out of left field, and it certainly isn't as Braun put it, begging. But I'll let you continue.
Well, I was going to say, it's easy, really easy for Mr. $1.2 million a year downside guarantee to say this. Right? His money's fucking guaranteed. And the thing that really bothered me about it was not only is he being an asshole about it, but like Evil Uno was a dude who until a year ago was nothing but an indie wrestler. And he's under that AEW contract now. So all he was doing was shouting out some support for his brothers on the indie scene. He was trying to do a nice thing because he has a bigger platform and more followers now.
Yes, he's doing a nice thing that lots of people are doing for lots of other people. That's the whole point of me bringing up the Dropkick Murphys and Crowbar.
And then, so, I guess Braun Strowman thinks John Moxley's a pathetic asshole for donating money to independent wrestlers. But it's like, I don't know, man. I guess it's really fucking easy when you make $1.2 million a year not to worry about your fucking money. But look, there are people out there that are hurting, man.
Well, that's the whole thing. It's, we're not in normal times right now. We're in a completely alien situation. Because I don't know about you, Larry, but I haven't lived through a pandemic that shut the economy down far and wide, including services like schools and shit. The first time for me. First time for you?
Yeah. I've actually never been through a pandemic. I've been through a lot. I've even lost a leg, but not a pandemic.
Indeed. So, with the economy going as well as it was going and people being able to do things and the gig economy going strong and suddenly everything stops through no fault of anyone else. I mean, this isn't the pull yourself up by your own bootstraps, stop going on welfare. The fucking economy just stopped because of this. People's livelihoods just stopped. And all he was saying was, hey, no one saw this coming and we're ill prepared for it. If you can help somebody, help somebody. There are times, I love your line on Twitter, just log off.
Yeah.
Somebody else wrote recently, and I put this up on Facebook, and I think for a while it was actually like my profile picture. Not everything needs a reaction.
Yeah, seriously.
If you can think it if you want, whatever, you can have whatever douchebag thoughts you want, but Jesus Christ, keep them to yourself.
Yeah, pretty much, man. And again, I'm not saying that everybody needs to feel sorry for everybody else and that everybody needs to take it upon themselves to help everybody else. But the other thing to this is that, like, again, Evil Uno was just throwing out some support to his indie brethren. Okay, that's all he was doing. He didn't say break your bank and empty your savings account for his friends.
Right.
He said if you got a chance, support a Patreon for $1 a month, buy a t-shirt. That's all he said. And again, it's easy for Mr. $1.2 million a year to not worry about his fucking financial status.
It didn't need comment. It was one of those, do it if you want, don't do it if you don't want, but it doesn't need a comment. It certainly doesn't need to be ridiculed. And his whole thing about, hey, I quit strongman because this is the point that I was trying to get to before. It may have been lost. His whole thing was, well, I quit strongman and got myself a better job because I was broke. That isn't the situation these people are in.
You know what, Braun? Here's the other thing these motherfuckers forgetting. Not everybody is 6'6" and a former fucking strongman that WWE and Vince McMahon are going to wank off over to and sign with no fucking experience.
But even at that, imagine, Larry, you worked at a place. Doesn't matter what place it is. There was a building, it had a job in it, you worked at that job. And you got up, you put your pants on, you put your shirt on, you got in your car, you drove to the office, you parked your car, you go up, and the whole fucking building's gone. This is gone. There's no building there anymore. And you look left and you look right and you're like, hey, where'd my job go? And you call people and they're not picking up and nobody around can tell you anything. You're usually I don't. And you wait a week and you don't get a paycheck and you're like, I don't know what the fuck happened and I don't know how to fix it and I don't know what to do next. That's not the same as I quit strongman because I wasn't making enough money and did something else. Do you see, there's a huge difference between his perception of what happened and what's actually happening? People woke up one day and went, oh shit, I don't have a job that I had literally yesterday.
Well, don't let the facts get in the way. I mean, Braun sacrificed and drove to Orlando with $150 in his fucking Kia piece of shit or whatever and thinks he's a hero now.
Jim Cornette's take on him was really funny. He was like, first of all, if you only had at whatever age you are, if you only had $150 in your pocket, maybe you weren't making good decisions up to that point even then.
Yeah, I don't listen to Jim pretty much anymore, so I hadn't heard it, but I know I saw some people talking about it. But yeah, it's just like you said, it's a combination between log off and everything doesn't need to be commented on.
Yes, sir.
And unfortunately, Braun did not learn that lesson. But yeah, I mean, for a multitude of reasons, I do not see Braun Strowman winning this championship. Would be absolutely shocked because I think you should try to, if you're going to try to do the Roman and Goldberg thing, you should still try to do it when you can. And unless there's something happening behind the scenes that like Roman has declared, I'm not coming back for 6 months until this fucker is completely gone. And they go, okay, well, let's just move the title on somebody who's full-time because Bill's not staying around. I mean, unless that happens, I just don't see a title change.
Goldberg Reigns will be just as good as in Boston as it will be in wherever the fuck they're doing Survivor Series, as it will be next year in Los Angeles. Whenever they decide to do this, it'll be just fine. It doesn't need to be done now.
Exactly. So, I don't know, man. That's WrestleMania, Mark, as we know it right now at 10:10 on the what the fuck? On the 28th of March. And again, this could change by the time this gets posted, but
that's okay. By the time we actually get to next Saturday night, it'll be Vince McMahon running a gauntlet.
I mean, very possibly, but I mean, this is definitely a WrestleMania that nobody saw coming. I don't know. You don't generally plan for the pandemic. At least I don't.
What I love about this whole thing is that you keep reading these stories about how nobody in the company wanted this. Nobody in the company wanted to do this. Everybody said, let's just cancel it. And even if you go like, well, the insurance thing, okay, let's just, we'll say it's at the PC, but then the city of Orlando or the county of Orange will shut us down and it'll be fine. And we'll put all of this off until June in Madison Square Garden or August in Boston. Had cooler, saner, logical heads prevailed, I'd be watching BoJack Horseman and you'd be doing whatever it was you were doing before we recorded this, and we wouldn't be talking about WrestleMania because there isn't going to be a WrestleMania, and there shouldn't be a WrestleMania. And I love the line about we I think it was Ed who said this. We are obligated and we feel it's important to provide entertainment in this time of need. Sure, but this probably wasn't the way to do it. But and we'll see what this ends up looking like when it's all over. Who knows? We could talk again when it's all over and be like, that was amazing. That's a major rabbit they pulled out of their ass. But I wouldn't put money on it.
Yeah. And again, people are to think like, oh, Larry wants us to fail because he said they should have canceled it. No, do you fucking realize I now have to cover 2 4+ hour shows? Do you think I want them to be bad?
I'll be watching. I'll have my Tyson Fury shirt on.
I want magic to happen. I want there to be some good. I don't want to sit there for 4 hours typing, well, that was okay, they tried, it might have been better with the crowd. I mean, you can only say that so many times. I don't want to say that for 4 fucking hours. Hopefully there's some good shit. Maybe the Boneyard match will be a cinematic masterpiece. Maybe the Firefly Funhouse will actually be really good. Who the fuck knows? I'm hoping it's a really good show. Because I have to cover it, and I like good wrestling. And I've seen really quick that like you can do really good to great wrestling in an empty show. I saw it on that UK show I covered. I saw it on the first AEW Empty Arena show. You can do it with the right people and the right match layout.
Well, don't worry, Larry, because next year you're going to get the greatest WrestleMania. I mean, this is going to pass. We'll beat this. The spirit and the human ingenuity will come through and we will beat this pandemic, and this will all be a distant memory. We'll laugh at a year from now about all the times we had in quarantine as we sit and watch WrestleMania 37, the Elimination Chamber between Goldberg, Brock Lesnar, Gronk, Cain Velasquez, Tito Ortiz, and Tyson Fury.
Just the worst. The worst.
Waiting for you to be like, so this was the last time we had Mark on this show.
Mark went back to his home planet. If any of that comes true, I don't know.
You're going to come down here and kick me with your other leg?
Yes, I'll beat you with the prosthetic one. It's like part Kevlar and titanium.
Yeah, the line forms to the left, Larry. You'll have to get behind Robert Winfrey.
Please, I'll beat him too.
Terrific.
But yeah, seriously, that's WrestleMania. Mark, thank you as always. It was good talking to you. And again, we will see what happens with WrestleMania.
Yep, looking forward to it, Larry. Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And we're going to continue on with the next segment in a moment. All right, everybody, welcome back to the next segment of the show. Joining me after a week off is Steve Cook. Steve, how are you, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good. Doing pretty good and fantastic. I am well. I am not sick, so that's all we can hope for at this point.
That's right. Same here, man. And last week we ran some retro stuff. We thought we were gonna have a bunch of scheduling issues, so we just went with the retro show last week, and people enjoyed that, so that was good. But we're back to the usual stuff this week. I already talked WrestleMania 36 with Mark, and you and I are going to do our normal AEW and NXT reviews for tonight, which was April 1st, 2020, Steve.
There were no April Fool's jokes on the shows as far as I could tell, which I appreciate because, for God's sakes, who needs an April Fool's joke right now?
Well, there was one on NXT, and we'll talk about that when we get to it. So we're going to start off with AEW Dynamite, Steve. Again, April 1st, 2020. Now, last night on Dark, they had announced the first two competitors for the AEW TNT Championship Tournament, which is essentially going to be a TV title. Those matches were Cody versus Shawn Spears and Darby Allin versus Sammy Guevara. Four men that are not strangers with each other, so it makes sense for that side of the bracket. Second side of the bracket was announced tonight, which was Dustin Rhodes versus Kip Sabian and Lance Archer versus Colt Cabana. Now,
who did Colt piss off?
I know, right? Now, the first thing I saw was instantly people wanted to complain about this because where's PAC? Where's Pentagon? Where's this and that? Blah, blah, blah. What people need to understand is the international travel bans are hurting AEW more than WWE. Certain guys cannot get into the company. I've talked about it on Dark for the last 2 weeks. They've been largely working with a skeleton crew with the people that are local. Hell, the California guys can't even fucking get in, which means the Bucks, SCU, and whoever else is out there. I think
even freaking Excalibur.
Yeah, Excalibur, but I think like Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy are also California as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, that them along with Death Triangle, we're already over 10 guys that can't get in. Excalibur, like you said, can't get in. Jim Ross is off the show because he's a high risk person. So they have to make the best of what they can do. They have to create programming, and they're doing what they can. I think that they're doing a good job. Again, Cody and Shawn Spears has history. Darby and Sammy have history. If it happens to get to Cody and Darby...
That's a killer side of a bracket right there. That's a good side of a bracket.
And here's the thing. If you get to Cody versus Darby or Cody versus Guevara, both of those have faced off in the past, so that's good there. Dustin and Kip Sabian will probably be a good match. Dustin working with anybody seems to work these days. I think that's probably a win for Kip Sabian, but we'll see. Lance Archer and Colt Cabana. Colt's undefeated so far. Lance Archer murdered a man, which we'll talk about later tonight in his debut. So, I mean, we'll see. I mean, in theory, this may be setting up the Lance Archer-Cody match with something extra.
I think that's what's going to happen. That'll probably be what happens. And, people were talking about the name of the championship, too, which the TNT championship, which is obviously like a TV championship pretty much. And, at first, a lot of people were like, oh, well, that doesn't sound too good. But the more we thought about it, the more it's like, well, that kind of makes sense. It's the TNT network, their title. And it's also a good vote of confidence for the company, I think.
And the other thing to consider on top of that, Steve, and I agree with you, is the fact that, remember when AEW signed that new TV deal, they're supposed to be getting another hour on TNT at some point. which is extra programming. So naming the championship the TNT Championship, which would be defended on both shows, makes a lot of sense because their whole goal is to really not have world title matches on TV as much as possible. Now, obviously,
that should be a rare
exactly,
thing.
And they did like the Rare Jericho one with Scorpio Sky, and they're going to be doing Hager and Moxley. But I mean, again, that's Hager's a challenger of the month type thing. He's not a pay-per-view opponent. I have no problem with that.
And I think that if you have the TNT logo as like the main faceplate of the belt, I think it looks pretty good.
Agreed. So again, we're kind of running skeleton crew. We had Tony Schiavone, Cody Rhodes, and Pharaoh the dog welcoming us to our undisclosed location tonight.
Yes, apparently, which some people smarted me up to it on the internet, if you will. Apparently, there's a wrestling school that Cody has bought into or whatever.
QT Marshall School.
QT Marshall School. Okay, there you go. Which Cody has some money into, which is where they tape these shows. And apparently George's stay-at-home order doesn't take effect until Friday. So, yeah. Tape a lot of shit right now, guys. Tape a lot of shit is what I'm saying.
That was apparently their plan going into it. So we had Cody and Tony on commentary. The lovely Dasha Gonzalez doing ring announcing tonight since Brandy was going to be managing later.
I like the Cody and Tony team.
They're a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, Tony has a ton of history of that family. Of course, Dusty loved working with Tony, and it's a whole thing, and it's good stuff.
So, and the good thing about tonight was we had the wrestlers back in the crowd, Steve.
We did. The Gun Club was on one side of the building. They were cheering for everybody and whatnot, and they were there the whole time. And we had some other people on the other side. Of course, Britt Baker was there hanging out over there.
Delicious.
We saw. Yes. Eating some hamburgers and whatnot. We
Kip
saw
Sabian,
Jimmy Havoc.
Yep.
Yeah, those guys who were a regular traveling group, if you will. I see Jimmy and Kip and Penelope hanging out a lot together.
There you go.
And we it doesn't seem like they like each other too much, but it's okay. It works.
It works, yeah. So, Steve, we opened up our show, and I don't know if you're going to agree, but I thought this was the best match of the night on both shows. Kenny Omega facing off with Trent of the Best Friends.
I'll agree with you on that. This is a fucking tremendous match. Yeah. These two guys.
Yeah. And
they went balls to the wall. Goodness gracious.
And the thing is, I mean, we know Kenny's great. Trent has been really good with every opportunity they've given him.
He is. Yeah, Trent has been Trent's kind of been the underrated MVP of this promotion so far.
Yeah, he's really good. I like Trent a ton.
Yeah.
And so they proceeded to have what I would consider a great 19-minute and 10-second match. Kenny Omega wins in the final minute. I thought overall it was great. It was very competitive. Both guys were busting their asses to deliver. And I thought overall, considering, the lack of crowd and just the wrestlers, I thought that they were able to give us a rather dramatic and compelling empty arena match that beautifully teased that draw possibility, which we all know in AEW is a possibility because we've seen a couple.
Yep. And I mean, it is some pretty crazy stuff. They're going back and forth, and you had Trent's a good old-fashioned baby face. And you saw a spot earlier in the match where they did some dives. You had the Best Friends hugging Trent at one point. And then you had Kenny Omega hit the dive. And, I think Orange Cassidy wanted to hug Kenny Omega. Chuck Taylor's not all about it. He was not about that.
No, he was not pleased.
I think Orange would have been. No, Orange Cassidy is all about it. But Chuck Taylor's very loyal.
I think that Orange Cassidy was just impressed with that sweet ass tope is all.
Yeah, exactly. Why wouldn't he be? Orange Cassidy, a tough man to impress, but is a good tope.
You talk about great wrestlers, Steve. Game recognizes game, obviously, and Orange Cassidy.
Damn right.
So
that's right.
But yeah,
I mean, Chuck Taylor has his blinders on because Trent is his best friend.
That's right.
It is what it is. But and then. Trent starts targeting the hand. He was going a little over the line, I thought, But you gotta do what you gotta do in these situations. When you try and beat Kenny Omega, you gotta do what you gotta do. You can't blame him for that. And Kenny had to hit that one-winged angel, and that's what put him away. And just, some really good stuff. Tough to turn away from this match, to be honest with you. I was thinking maybe I could switch over to their channel, but man, these guys just kept bringing it.
Yeah,
and bringing it.
As the reviewers call it, this is a notebook match for you kids out there. The notebook match standard is 4 stars and above, worth going out of your time to see. And that's what I thought this one was. I love this. And again, there was a lot of people in late 2019 wanting to shit on Kenny Omega. Oh, not the same guy, not having any good matches anymore. And
he's there
then in
now.
2020, he's basically shoved that up everybody's ass.
Yeah. He is back to being fucking New Japan main event match Kenny Omega.
That's right.
That's where he is right now.
I laughed at that narrative. Well, obviously, working with Okada and Naito, brought out the best and shadowed all of Kenny's shortcomings. What the fuck ever, man?
No, apparently not. No, the guy, he can bring it. I know as much as Jim Cornette hates the jazz hands or whatever he wants to go on about, or, it is what it is. But, man, that guy he brings it whenever he's, the last couple weeks, that match with Sammy Guevara last week, fucking tremendous. That's 4 stars and above, too. And this week with Trent, who, like I said earlier, Trent is probably the underrated MVP of this promotion so far. And these two guys just went out there and they fucking had a balls out fantastic match.
Yeah, great way to open the show, and that's always a hook, man. You want to have that hook to open the show like that. That led to a video package and highlights of the issues between Matt Hardy and Chris Jericho. Good video package. We got another good little video package for Hikaru Shida, which led to Hikaru Shida, always lovely, facing off with a new lass here. The lovely Anna Jay from the QT Marshall School, a Georgia native apparently, and a
very impressive showing from Anna Jay.
Yes, Hikaru Shida obviously won 5 minutes and 5 seconds via pin. On one hand, I'm not going to really argue it because I thought it was a perfectly solid match. I think you could argue that it was maybe a little too competitive. But again, I thought it was really solid. And I thought Anna Jay looked like she had a lot of potential in her first TV match. So apparently QT Marshall is doing something right at that school.
It might also have something to do with Hikaru Shida being also tremendous as well.
Great, yeah.
Because she can, we've seen her before on these shows where, she's drugged some good matches out of some people who didn't have good matches before. And maybe it's in their one of the situations, but I'm going to give benefit of the doubt. I'm going to say Anna Jay has a lot of potential going forward, and is the right result to have Hikaru Shida winning and going over. And then after the match, we had a little situation with her and Britt Baker, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Don't get me wrong, And there's a situation where Britt had a shoe. I don't know what's going on.
Who throws a shoe, Steve? Really?
Who throws a shoe? Honestly.
The best one was after the show. Hikaru Shida tweeted, "Britt was giving me attitude and eating a sandwich because she said my match was boring. How rude."
That's right. Yeah. Very rude. Very rude. It was not boring. It was a very good match. I will give Shida a lot of credit for that. And holy Shida.
That's right.
Become one of the top stars here in AEW.
And real quick, I do want to kind of Tarantino back. We were talking about how they've kind of had to work with this reduced roster. And what a lot of people need to understand is that's also hitting the women's roster. Because you have international talent that can't get in. Britt Baker took some time off because she works in the medical field.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
The other thing is Big Swole's off TV because she had battled, I think, Crohn's disease, right?
Yeah, so she'd be
exactly.
High risk,
So yes, you can say that the women's division isn't fixed yet, and you're right. But right now they kind of have no choice. But the good news is Hikaru Shida got a video package, she got a nice win, and they teased a little something with Britt, who may be back for however long they tape for this week and whatever they get, because we don't know. Again, we're playing it by ear, man. We don't know how many fucking weeks of Dynamite we're getting coming out of this.
Who knows? Who knows about that? All I know is that it was nice to see the Good Doctor back on TV this week. And, I know Tony Schiavone was very happy to see her back out there.
That's a good friend, but Cody did remind him that, Tony, you're a married man.
That's right. Oh, well, we had some other issues with Tony later on as far as being a married man goes. Well, we'll get to that.
So Cody and Tony then talked about Jon Moxley's issues with the Inner Circle and most recently Jake Hagar. This was followed by a very well done video package with some back and forth from Moxley and Hagar talking about their issues with each other, comments from Jericho and others, setting up the expected world title match, which we were told would happen in 2 weeks.
Yeah. 2 weeks, empty arena match with Moxley and Mr. Hagar for the AEW World Championship. And we saw a lot of Bellator footage on this particular video package, which I appreciated. Good to see those folks doing business.
Yep.
You know, it's all good. It's all good. If you can get that video together, you show Jake Hagar looking like a monster, which he looks like a monster anyway. Let's be honest. The guy looks like a beast.
He does.
As bad as WWE booked that guy.
Yeah.
You know, as bad as they booked that guy, he still looks like the kind of guy who could fuck you up pretty easily.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want to tussle with Jake Hagar. I mean, literally,
Absolutely.
I'd be the one-legged man in the ass-kicking contest. That's no good for me.
And John Moxley is a man who lives dangerously. He doesn't care who wrestles. He just wants to kick ass and take names. So, I mean, I'm all about booking a feud with these guys going against each other. That's a solid world title feud.
It is, and the thing is, too, it plays out of Moxley's feud with the Inner Circle well, and people were like, well, Hagar really hasn't won much. He's won, like, a couple squash matches. That's not the basis of the feud. First of all, at least he's undefeated. Secondly, he beat the shit out of Moxley. He powerbombed him off the stage, and then he laid him out last night on Dark with the head and arm choke. So they're building it as more of a grudge thing. And like you said, Moxley just kind of doesn't care. He wants to fuck somebody up. And there you go.
And Hagar is one of those guys who is believable against anybody. I know that Jack Swagger is not booked that great, but, you know.
Yeah.
Still looks like a badass guy. And I like the other Inner Circle guys backing up, too. Chris Jericho is on that video package being like, well, you know, and, you know, a lot of factions would have guys being jealous of other guys going after the title, but Jericho's cool with it. It's like, well, that's another championship reign for the Inner Circle. It's all good.
Sammy Guevara said when Jake Hagar wins and becomes the world champion, all of the Inner Circle are world champion again.
That's right.
Unified force, because they don't drink on the job and hit their finishers on their friends.
No, they don't.
Good lads, the Inner Circle.
So, good stuff. Good stuff. Sammy Guevara, a god among men.
Spanish god.
Spanish god, if you will. We'll get to him later, too.
Colt Cabana then joined Tony Schiavone on commentary, giving Cody a break.
For the second hour, you know, you got to have different commentary teams for each hour of the show.
But it does work because Cody did have his match coming up.
Cody had a match later, so he's got to get ready for it.
Got to warm up, man.
And Colt a very good commentator, too.
We got a Jake Roberts.
Colt and Cody are both very good in commentary.
Yes, very much so. We got a Jake Roberts promo commenting on Lance Archer's debut, saying that he's going to destroy his opponent. Cody keeps playing games, and that doesn't make them happy. They don't play games or gamble because they don't believe in chance. They have an ace up their sleeve, and they hope Cody is smart enough to be afraid. And then Jake even dropped in that Brandy probably wears the pants in that family.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen Brandy wear pants very often. That's all I can say about that.
I'm sure they'd look great.
I'm sure they would.
She's a lovely young woman.
Absolutely. Yes, she is.
So we got the Lance Archer debut, and it was against young Marco Stunt. And
now, hold on. I have a quick question about Marco Stunt. Did he have the coronavirus at some point?
No.
This is a rumor.
No. I think he was just not feeling well, so he stayed away. Plus,
he was not.
Plus, his grandmother was sick and unfortunately passed away yesterday.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So.
Okay, but he's not contagious or okay. We're kind of wondering about that, you know. But yes, I mean, major prayers to the Stunt family.
Right. Lovely people. So
yes.
This is Lance Archer's debut, and Marco got
he killed
him, man. But Marco got a couple quick hope spots, but was largely killed. He ate the pounce, he ate a choke slam, he ate the blackout, and he was done in a shade over 3 minutes. And I want to say that Marco was a great first opponent for Lance Archer because it showed off the great size disparity. It allowed Lance Archer to look like a real monster. And it's exactly what you want out of a debut like that. You have the sinister Jake Roberts talking up this man as a killer. You run a video package where he kills like 20 men in a wrestling ring in an abandoned house somewhere. You don't want him working a fucking 50-50 6-minute match.
No, he don't want to work 50-50 with Chuck Taylor or whoever. No, he's
no disrespect to Chuck Taylor, obviously. We love Chucky T here, but...
That's because we think Chuck Taylor would be a 50-50 match.
Exactly.
Obviously.
Marco got a couple brief hope spots because he's Marco Stunt, the underdog, but he was largely mauled by a fucking bear here.
Yeah, he was. Which was the right result.
Exactly. And it was, match rating, it's not like a great match. It's fine for what it is. But in terms of booking a squash match, I thought it was great. And then post-match, Lance Archer was not done. Took young Marco Stunt to the apron, picked him up, and fucking just choke slammed him over the floor, over the barricade, onto the gun club, and killed this young man.
Yeah, why not? You gotta do what you gotta do.
You know, but do you know why Lance Archer did that, Steve? Everybody dies.
Everybody dies, that's right. Including the goddamn gun club. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Gotta take care of business, and Lance Archer did exactly that. The murder hawk monster, you know, whatever you call him, got done there. So good for him. Good
high
stuff.
Quality
Good
piece
business.
of business right there.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. Poor Cole, you know, I mean, Cole Cabana tried to sell himself as having some kind of chance next week. I don't know. I mean, Cole, I love you, but man, I'm a big Cole Cabana guy, but man, I don't know. I don't know about your chances against this guy, Lance
Cole
Archer.
may die.
Colt might die. I hope he doesn't, because he's a very good talker, a pleasant guy, swell individual, but I don't know.
Well, the good news is after his match with Lance Archer, he will have commentary to fall back on.
Well, as long as he can still talk. As long as he still talk, he might be crippled.
Well, listen, dude, I'm in a wheelchair and I can talk, so I'll be okay. He'll be fine.
There you have it. So Cole can be on commentary with JR and Excalibur and Tony and everybody else. So there you have it.
So we went to a video package with the Exalted One, Brody Lee, with his Dark Order minions. And he was talking about how he was once lost and beaten down, but he rose up and he is now the Exalted One. Wanted them to stand tall with him, and he had this one young masked man start talking, and he constantly had to correct him and tell him that he is Mr. Brody Lee. And he scared the shit out of these poor goose, explained that there should be no yawning or being tired because that's weakness. You don't ever yawn in my presence, and he dismissed the minions. And you know, a little more Vince McMahon cosplay by the Exalted One.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of people that will enjoy that. A lot of people get a lot of laughs out of that, but I don't know. I'd like to see a little bit more of Brody Lee than that.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not an overly huge fan of it, but I also think that they're also in a really weird position right now to where they probably can't do maybe everything they wanted to do with the Dark Order because of everything going on. So they're just kind of keeping him on TV and filling time. And, I mean,
which is fine.
Yeah. I don't think it's bad in any way. I don't think it's great either. But I also think, again...
That shouldn't be a long-term idea.
No, exactly. And you do need to have him on TV in some form. So, that led to a tag team match, which was Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall with Brandy Rhodes.
The Natural Nightmares with Brandy Rhodes, yes.
Facing off with Dark Order number 8 and number 9.
Number 8 and number 9.
I did crack up at commentary talking about how, well, obviously Evil Uno is number 1, and Colt was like, well, I think Stu Grayson is obviously Dos.
Yeah. I don't think your friend Cubs fan liked that too much. He's a little upset about it, but yeah, I thought it was funny.
I did.
I don't know, but I mean, it was what it was.
I laughed. It was a cute little in if you know the Super Smash Brothers.
Fine little tag team match. Give Dustin and QT a nice little win over some Dark Order minions.
That's right.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it was short, it was solid, and I think, and I know a lot of people shitting on this too, but I think Dustin Rhodes and QT Marshall are going to be a good veteran tag team to have around And
Sure.
first of all,
To put over some heel teams that are working their way up.
yeah, but they can do that. But the other thing is they'll be able to work like dark matches and stuff. Like I would have them working Private Party and stuff on dark and stuff like that to help those guys grow.
Yeah.
But I think they're a good, fundamentally solid team. Dustin,
you could have those guys work against like guys that are having tryout matches. Sure.
Exactly, but we all know Dustin is still great, extremely smart. QT, from everything I've heard, has a really good rep as a trainer. So, I mean, I think that that's a good team to put together. And again...
And I don't hate QT as a worker as much as a lot of people do.
No, he's a fun little dude. And, like, the thing is, too, is they pick up wins on dark and against goofs like this. You can build them up for a little bit, and then when you need the Lucha Bros or somebody on a heel run or, you know, the former LAX, when somebody needs to get a win before a title match, maybe, these are the guys they can beat. Or one of the teams they can beat, I mean. You know, I mean, it's just... I think that's a good little veteran team. I see nothing wrong with it. I think when you're complaining about that, you're just kind of looking for a reason to complain.
You're looking for things to complain about. And I will say, Tony Schiavone's pop for when Brandy Rhodes raised her arms after the match. Oh. Did you notice that when they're raising their arms after a match, and once they raised their arms, when Brandy raised her arms, Tony was like, oh.
Yeah, he's lucky Cody wasn't there anymore.
Yeah, Cody wasn't there anymore. So, like, oh, yeah, that's pretty good.
So, post-match, though, the Exalted One arrived.
Brandy's an attractive woman, so
well, she
I'm
is.
saying about that.
But the Exalted One arrived post-match, had a little stare-down with Dustin, and then he...
Yeah, Brandy was trying to get him out of that, and...
and then Mr. Brody Lee, the Exalted One, powerbombed one of those geeks and left.
It was 8 or 9, we don't know.
It doesn't matter, he's dead now.
Yeah, he's dead either way.
So this led to a video package with Le Champion Chris Jericho in his hot tub.
Oh.
Drinking
in the hot
a little
tub,
bit of the bubbly, Steve.
Yes, sir.
And he was talking about how it's a holiday because it's April Fool's Day, and he's never met bigger fools than the Elite. He told Nick Jackson to stay home. Vanguard 1, though, arrived as he was monologuing on the Elite.
You forgot to mention where he called Kenny Omega a pumpkin-headed... what was it? A pumpkin-headed...
I don't remember, and I didn't write it down, so I didn't remember. So. Yes, he ran down all the members of the Elite. He had a good time making fun of everybody. But Vanguard 1 arrived at the Jericho estate. This led to Jericho once again promoing on Vanguard 1, which is way better than it should be. Like, Jericho fucking interacting with a drone is actually really entertaining. He teased apologizing to the drone for last week. He got out of the hot tub and we realized Chris Jericho was wearing pants in the hot tub.
Yes, he was. He's wearing pants in the hot tub the whole time.
Which was certainly a choice.
It was a choice.
He offered Vanguard 1 a chance to come into the Inner Circle again. He even had a tiny Inner Circle shirt for him, which I died at. Vanguard 1 took it and disappeared. Jericho then released the Hounds and a fucking gaggle.
He released the Hounds.
And a gaggle of tiny fucking dogs chased after Vanguard 1 who flew away.
They look like some badass dogs from where I sat, to be honest with you. They would chase anybody off. And by the way, the phrase I was looking for was the pumpkin-headed dipshit.
There you go.
That's what I was looking for. The pumpkin-headed dipshit, Kenny Omega.
So
that might be his nickname going forward. I don't know.
They confirmed that next week we're getting the Cody and Shawn Spears match. And then in 2 weeks we're getting Lance Archer and Colt Cabana as well as Moxley versus Hagar for the title.
Poor Colt Cabana. I feel bad for the guy. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's
Let's enjoy the commentary as long as we can get, because poor Colt's gonna die in 2 weeks. That's all I'm saying.
That's right.
Because everybody dies.
We then got a video.
Even if you're not pumpkin.
That's right. We then got a video package with the Young Bucks. A small update on Nick Jackson's recovery with him and Matt hanging out and working out in a ring together, trying to knock off the ring rust. And they talked about the whole injury angle and how Nick says he's feeling good, but he doesn't remember the attack or that night at all.
Well, yeah, it's amazing how that works.
Yeah.
You don't remember who attacked you.
Yes. But I actually
We assume it's the inner circle, but it might be somebody
exactly,
else.
and that's the thing I like because obviously the inner circle was there and they found him.
Yeah.
So of course you think it's going to be them, and they crush his skull.
You assume it's them.
But I like that they're not locked in this just 100% saying it's the inner circle.
But May is that drunken bastard Hangman Adam Page.
Exactly. It leaves it open for someone else like Page.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I like that it's a very simple and easy storytelling tool. It's not just giving it away right away. Because if you sit there and tell us for 4 weeks it's the inner circle, and then say they finally do blood and guts and Page turns on him and reveals it was him all along, that comes off really weird. If you're leaving it open like we are now, then you got something to play with.
Yeah, we do. And I have a feeling, as much as I love Hangman Page, I don't know.
So
I'm not sure.
But the end of the video is basically Nick admitting that he's not quite ready to come back yet.
He's at probably about 69%, I would say.
That's right. So
yeah.
Hopefully for his sake, he's staying at home. He's about 69%. That'd be good for him.
Yeah, nice.
So then we had our main event of the evening, Steve. Sammy Guevara, the Spanish God, versus Shawn Spears, facing off with Cody and Darby Allin, Steve. And at the end of the day, Sammy Guevara and Shawn Spears won the match, 21-35 via pin. What did you think of our main event?
I thought it was a pretty darn good tag team match. A lot of stuff going on. I mean, you had Sammy doing his vlog stuff, the video blog thing. He went out there and he shot some footage with him and Brandy Rhodes, and I thought, oh, did they look too good? They looked pretty good together, didn't they?
Sammy thought so.
I thought they did. I thought so too, but apparently Brandy didn't think so. So I was thinking it happened there, but I thought it was pretty damn good booking because out of all the guys in that match, the guy that needed to win the most was Shawn Spears, because when was the last time Shawn Spears was on Dynamite? For God's sakes.
It's been a couple months, honestly.
Been a couple months. He's not on TNT very often, so I was just thinking, you got to be on TNT pretty often if you're going to be the TNT champion. So Spears needed the win there. It's good to have some drama between Darby and Cody, because we assume that there'll probably be a semifinal match. And those guys they have some good chemistry, and that'll be an issue between them. So I think that is a right way to do that match. That's some good stuff. And it's a good way to fill a half hour, I thought.
Exactly. I thought it was really good. I thought the best part was not only did they play off of the history between all the guys, they did that really well, but again, like you mentioned, it was quality setup for that tournament because you had half of the bracket in this match altogether. So I thought it was a very focused build. It was a smart build. And yeah, post-match, Darby laid out Cody, and we got some drama going on there.
Yeah, and and I saw some people wondering, well, was that going to be a Darby heel turn? No, it won't. Darby's a lone wolf. He always has been, and he always will be. And he's always had a bit of an issue with Cody Rhodes, so it all made sense to me.
Yeah, not everything has to be a black and white heel turn either.
No.
So that is Dynamite for this week, Steve, which means we need to move on to NXT. Also, April 1st.
NXT.
And the biggest April Fool's joke played on the wrestling world on April 1st was not Tainara Conti faking that she was pregnant on Twitter. It was the fact that...
I missed that part, fortunately.
It was the fact that Uncle Paul put Sam fucking Roberts on commentary all night.
See, now that was I mean, I gotta tell you, that's some bullshit right there. And I was just glad, to be honest with you, as much as I love Mauro Ranallo, and I'm glad he's down in his bunker in California and probably has all the potting and smoke. I'm sure he has it all there with him. I'm glad he's safe. I'm glad he's okay. Mauro and Sam Roberts would be the worst announced team of all time. Am I right?
Well, Sam Roberts by himself was the worst announced team, and Tom Phillips tried, but he was just... Sam Roberts was shit.
Tom Phillips tried. He tried. God bless him. He tried to work with that, but it was a bad situation.
Sam Roberts was doing his worst attempt at playing bad guy announcer all night long.
Yeah, I told and I knew going in once I heard that. It's like, oh my God, this not gonna be good.
By the way, and you heard this line earlier in the show, not when Steve was on, but I'm accepting apologies. Because everybody told me, oh, it's just an April Fool's joke. He's not really going to do commentary. Well, he did.
Yeah, he did.
It was fucking trash.
He did. It was bad. It was bad.
Accepting apologies again. My Twitter account's open.
There you go.
So anyway,
give him a dinner and coffee. Or whatever. What is your little thing there?
Yeah, there you go.
Little gimmick
That'd be great. I accept all apologies in monetary form.
There you go.
So we started off with the Velveteen Dream versus Bobby Fish. Part of the build to Velveteen Dream getting a title shot against Adam Cole. Velveteen Dream defeated Bobby Fish at just under 16 minutes via pin, Steve. And if you don't mind, let me go first. I want to say that this was a solid wrestling match. It was the right winner because Velveteen Dream is allegedly going to challenge for the championship. But I do need to say this. Having Velveteen Dream work a nearly 16-minute empty arena match setting absolutely exposes every one of his shortcomings.
It does.
Velveteen Dream is a dude with a good look. He has a ton of charisma. And when he's in a crowded arena that is into his matches and working with a great worker, a lot of that gets covered up. And he has had great matches. Please don't get me wrong. But if you sit there and you turn off the volume even in those great matches and you start dissecting the Velveteen Dream, there are a lot of holes in his game still. Which is one of those reasons why he hasn't been pushed to the title so soon. Which is why he hadn't been brought up to the main roster yet, despite being really over and charismatic and everything. And don't get me wrong, he's still very young. There's still a ton of potential. He's probably going to get better. But the thing is, please don't come at me with this Velveteen Dream as one of the top 5 workers on the NXT brand. He wasn't one of the top 5 workers in this match, and there was only 2 people.
Yeah. I agree with you wholeheartedly. He's just not that. He's not as far as long as people want to tell me he is. I'm sorry.
He's also, and I don't know if you agree with this one, Steve, but to me, he has not been very good since he came back from injury.
No. Not at all. I'm with you on that as well. I've been telling you this for this for weeks, and not just from a work standpoint, from a personality standpoint, but from a storyline standpoint. I've been whining and bitching and moaning. It's like, why is this guy supposed to be a baby face when he's wearing Roderick Strong's wife's face on his tights? I never understood that. I don't understand why is that supposed to be a good guy? I don't know. Nobody ever explained it to me properly. It's like, oh, well, he's just a Velveteen Dream. Or,
he's just a Velveteen Dream.
He's just a Velveteen Dream. You know, he's a good guy, by God. He's not a ravishing Rick Rude trying to get over on somebody. Like, I didn't buy it. I'm sorry. Didn't buy it. And this match is fine. Was. And I told you earlier, I was reading Kevin Pangino's NXT recap, and one of the weird things was like, well, Velveteen got the win way too early. It was 16 fucking minutes. How is that too early? What the fuck? That's long enough. I'm sorry. I mean, is Kevin now like Jim Cornette, like being like, well, you can't tell a good story in 16 minutes? Yeah, you can.
In Kevin's defense, let me defend Kevin real quick. He wasn't feeling well tonight, so maybe it felt quicker than it was to him. I don't know.
16 minutes is a fucking good time for a match. I'm sorry.
It was way too long for this one.
It was.
So
I don't know if you wanted 35.
Oh, Christ, no. So Velveteen Dream cut a quick promo on Adam Cole to hype their upcoming match afterwards.
Oh, yeah. Great.
And then we had a Malcolm Bivens promo with his big giant lads, and Bivens Enterprises is they are ready to take over, Steve. And I don't know about you. I don't know if these guys are going to be any fucking good or not, but I'm just excited to see Big Stoke on my fucking
I know
TV.
you're excited about Malcolm Bivens. He's been kissing your ass for as long as I can remember. I know Stokey Hathaway has been kissing your ass and kissing everybody's ass other than mine. as far as I can tell. He's been that last old school manager for a long time. He's been kissing some people's ass that's not mine. I'm a little jealous about it, but it is what it is. But I hope it works out for him. I wish him the best.
Listen, I can't help it if Big Stoke loves me. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. He ignored me all the time. I don't know what the deal is. He just blew me off. I don't understand it. I don't know, but I wish him the best with his 2 big steroid injected fucks. It's all right.
Yeah. Did
I just say that? That's all right. Yeah.
Allegedly, Steve.
Let's be honest, they all are. Allegedly.
No, I have no clue if those guys are going to be any good, but like I said, I'm very excited to see Big Stoke getting a chance on TV after being in NXT for like a year.
I don't mind seeing heel managers. That's fine. Especially compared to Robbie E. trying to do his shtick, which didn't work.
Yeah. That's the Robert Stone branch, Steve.
And trying to be a half-assed Tony Khan impersonation, where the fuck he was doing, or whatever.
So then we got a next match. It was Dexter Lumis facing off with Jake Atlas.
Okay, you're going to have to tell me about both these guys.
Dexter Lumis used to be Sam Shaw in TNA/Impact.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
I don't think he's very good. For some reason, people have gotten on this Dexter Lumis bandwagon. They think he's this underappreciated star, and to me, he's the definition of a dude. He's just there.
I will tell you, my impression of him while watching this match was creepy. Which makes sense with Sam Shaw, too. Fucking creepy. Creepy guy. Creepy is what I got out of that.
Jake Atlas was an indie guy that was getting a lot of looks from a lot of places. His dream apparently has always been to sign with WWE, so when he got the NXT offer, he signed. And he's a dude with a ton of potential. So, of course, he lost here to Dexter Lumis in like 3 minutes.
Yeah, of course.
Clean via submission.
So Dexter Lumis is a former TNA Gut Check winner that was fucking creepy. Creepy as shit.
He stalked Chrissy Hemme. He feuded with Gunner.
Yes. I saw part of that. It's atrocious. Yeah. So okay, that's what we're pushing here. Okay, great. That lowers my opinion even more of the show.
It was the match was short and fine for the time given, but I would not have had have had Atlas lose his TV debut, especially to a guy like Dexter Lumis, who I don't really see any legit upside in going forward as far as a TV star.
Apparently somebody does. Apparently you're telling me some of the people. You're telling me some people out there see a lot of potential.
I don't know where they see it at, but okay.
That's what you told me.
I know, but I'm saying I keep seeing this weird narrative that he's like good. And I'm like, no. So
I didn't see it here, but yeah, I mean, we'll let it play out and see where it goes.
Yeah. We got a Killer Cross video package. He's coming soon.
He's coming soon with Scarlett.
Hopefully
Bordeaux.
with Scarlett, yes.
Is she coming? Let's hope so.
Need her on TV.
Would definitely.
And then we went back and revisited the Gargano Ciampa brawl at the Performance Center. And that led to our second chance gauntlet with the winner getting into the number one contenders ladder match next week, Steve. Aaliyah, Dakota Kai, Deonna Purrazzo, Kaden Carter, Shotzi Blackheart, Xia Li. A good amount of talent in this match. At the end of the day, the big dog Dakota Kai won after 24 minutes of gauntlet match action. And I thought this was pretty good overall. One of the better things on the show. I thought they had some nice energy to it. I thought all the women worked really hard. I think Dakota Kai winning works because her angle with Tegan Nox, obviously. They're going to try to kill each other in that ladder match. And I also really like that Shotzi got the deep run into this match because we've talked about her before too. They see a lot in her because you can tell she's been positioned really well so far.
It was mostly the Shotzi Blackheart show, let's be honest. Because she was in the ring for most of this match.
Oh, all of the match. She was in first.
Yeah, exactly. So she got to go through everybody, and she looked good, and she's kicking ass. And we all know I'm a big Shotzi Blackheart guy, let's be honest. I don't know if I don't know if Shotzi would claim to be a Steve Cook guy or not, but she is. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big fan. I think she does a lot of good stuff, and she went through this match. She's kicking ass and taking names, and I understand why Dakota Kai went over at the end of the day because, she's the girl. She's pretty good. She's got Ray Gonzalez there, whatever the fuck. But to be honest, Shotzi should have won this match. She should have won this match. She should have won second chance ladder match. She should have won the championship. She should win everything. Come on. She should win championship. She should win the men's championship. She win everything. Come on now.
We were talking before we went on the air. We were kind of just doing a quick talk about the show tonight. And the one thing we talked about was, in a perfect world, TakeOver's still happening. And on TakeOver, Dakota Kai and Tegan Nox are having a third match together.
Yeah, they should have some kind of
While somebody else and Shotzi made it into this match because Shotzi's the kind of person you want in a crazy ladder match. And again, I understand why Dakota Kai won because it fits the booking. I'm just saying, in a perfect world, somebody else and Shotzi gets the chance while Dakota and Tegan have a chance to kind of deliver a great match again.
Yeah.
So. But again, Dakota makes sense, and
Shotzi Blackheart is awesome, though. Can we just say that?
Yes, Shotzi's really good, and she's somebody that I keep saying that they think highly of her. You can tell by how she's been booked in position so far. Yeah. She has a ton of potential, and once she... It's going to sound weird because some of her rough edges is what makes her really stand out. But in terms of just I'm just talking about transitional work, once she cleans up a little bit of that stuff... She's going to be really, really good, and they're probably going to push her really well. So
she's the future of this business. Come on now, Larry. She's the future
say that, but...
of this business. I'll say it. The future of this business and that goddamn great green hair. Come on now.
Sure.
I like it. I'm
sorry. Glad you love her, Steve. Don't get me wrong.
I apologize.
Okay, well, here's the thing.
To you and her boyfriend. Whoever that might be.
All I'm going to say is you should be glad she's not going to be in that ladder match next week. Because Io Shirai is going to kill everybody in that match.
That's a fair point.
So I know you don't want to see Shotzi die. So there you go.
I don't want her to die. So
take solace in knowing she'll survive to another week.
She'll survive another week until Shannon Baszler finds her or something.
So next up... Kushida defeated Joaquin Wilde, the former DJZ, for those of you that don't know.
Yeah.
850 via pin, or via submission, sorry. They had a nice, solid match, unfortunately.
Two guys they found from 5 years ago, apparently.
But a nice, solid match that never hit that next level that both guys are really capable of. And I continue to say it, and I continue to feel that I absolutely hate the fact that Kushida has been just another fucking guy in NXT.
Yeah, well, I mean, why didn't you have Alex Shelley and Kushida be a tag team going forward?
Well, because Alex Shelley has a regular job and didn't want to sign full-time. He's up to coming back and doing coaching stints and maybe working an occasional match, but...
Okay, well, there you have it.
Yeah. But the thing is, I mean, you signed Kushida, who was a top star in New Japan and one of the best wrestlers in the world, and he's fucking doing, sub-10-minute matches all the time with... I love Joaquin Wilde and stuff, but he's working a bunch of geeks out there.
It's kind of sad, too, because as much as we complain about how much Nakamura has been wasted in NXT/WWE/whatever, he still got to do his shit in NXT. Kushida didn't.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing with Nakamura, though, and I'm going to say this again. My brother signed a retirement deal when he signed that contract.
It's a retirement plan.
He came to the United States. He had always wanted to live here. He's surfing. He moved his family here. He's having a good fucking time. He's making a fuck ton of money. And he's gonna retire.
So God bless him. Yeah.
And that's the thing. I hate the narrative that, quote-unquote, WWE ruined Nakamura. Please, Nakamura...
No, he wanted to ruin... He wanted to do that.
Nakamura came in...
That was his goal.
He came in and he fooled everybody with that Sami Zayn match. Because everybody thought, holy fuck, we're getting Nakamura in WWE and it's going to be fucking great. And then, I mean, yes, the booking hasn't been good, but don't get me wrong. Please don't tell me Nakamura has been giving 100% like he was back in the day.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, at the end of his New Japan run, he was already playing the hits and playing downward. because Naito and Omega were surpassing him, and Okada and Tanahashi were on top. He saw the writing on the wall. He wasn't going to work that physical style the rest of his life, so he took the money and ran, and I don't blame him at all. I'm not criticizing him for that. But don't just throw it out there that it's all WWE's fault.
It's not. That's what you want to do. And God bless him for it. I don't blame him at all. I don't blame Sami Zayn for being the Intercontinental Champion at this point. Yeah, it's all good. It's all good stuff. It's fine.
Yeah. Oh man, when they showed one of the replay matches, and it was the one ladder match with Sami Zayn in it on the one show, and I was like, look at Sami Zayn, or it was like the WrestleMania 32 replay I was doing. I posted on Twitter, I'm like, look at Sami Zayn looking so fucking full of life.
Yeah. And Sammy has realized as well. It's like, well, let's just collect the check. Come on now.
I mean, that and the fact that, like, let's be real. I mean, Sammy hasn't had an easy time with the injuries with the shoulders.
No, absolutely
so
not.
You know what? If he's getting paid his full check to be a glorified manager most of the time, God bless him.
Damn right.
Don't get me wrong. I miss seeing awesome Sami Zayn matches, but again, I'm not going to criticize the guy for taking it easy, making a paycheck, especially because he did come back after double shoulder surgery after he had that bad shoulder injury anyway. So it's like...
Yeah. It'll work. I will still say Shotzi Blackheart is somebody I would rather watch than Sami Zayn right now. Yeah. Is all I'm saying.
So next week we have... Set for next week, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa and their alleged blow-off match. And we're also getting the women's number 1 contender ladder match.
Yeah.
Steve.
There we go. The match we just set up with Dakota Kai and Tegan Knox and I think Chelsea Green's involved in there. Were a lot of people involved in that match.
Yeah. A lot of potential. And
you can name them all.
I think between those two matches, next week's show on paper looks to have a lot of potential. It just depends on what else is on it.
Yeah, it might be another match with your boy Sam Shaw.
And then we saw, Steve, the Lucha Ninjas came back and kidnapped Joaquin Wilde.
Great.
That's right.
Great. That's all I got to say about that.
We're going to have an awesome mass Lucha stable at some point, I'm telling you.
Whatever.
Undisputed Era is fucked once El Phantasmo gets here.
Oh, boy. That'd be a bad time. If only it was what the fuck was his name in Lucha Underground?
King Cuerno.
King Cuerno. Oh, I love King Cuerno.
Maybe he comes back as King Cuerno wearing the fucking cool headdress.
That would be
big
good.
ass deer antlers.
That would be good. I don't give a shit about it. What were they calling him on the house shows?
Oh fuck, I don't know.
It was something stupid.
Yeah.
It's something bad. It was bad. It didn't sound good.
Yeah.
It didn't sound like a lot of potential going forward. But we got a big main event here.
That's right.
For the NXT North American Championship with Keith Lee defending against good old Dominic Dijakovic and good old Damian Priest.
That's right. So at the end of the day, Keith Lee defeated both of them, retaining his championship. Just under 20 minutes, Steve. The end saw Keith Lee hit the big pounce to send Damian Priest to the floor after he had eaten a Feast Your Eyes. And then the Ground Zero / Big Bang Catastrophe finished Dijakovic. Keith Lee retains as he should have. And I'm telling you right now, dude, because I recently reviewed a match that wasn't an iPay-per-view match because of the NXT guy involved, but Adam Cole and Walter from Evolve. A fucking great match, right? And
yeah, sure.
All I could think of after watching Adam Cole and Walter was, I want to see Adam Cole and Keith Lee for this championship.
Yeah.
I am way more interested in that possibility than I am Adam Cole versus Velveteen Dream.
Yeah, because we've seen Keith Lee against both these guys multiple times.
Exactly.
It's happened. As much as we love Keith Lee, as much as we love Dijakovic against Keith Lee, and you might like Priest or whatever, we've seen this stuff over and over and over again.
Yeah, I like all three guys. I like the combinations of them, but yeah, I want something new.
And I'm with you where we need to see where Adam Cole would be defending against Keith Lee on an ideal takeover for before WrestleMania on an ideal WrestleMania weekend would have been the best way to go. Other than, I would have preferred that over having Velveteen Dream be the Rick Rude wannabe, all that bullshit they had going on. I think that ideally, if we had NXT TakeOver this weekend, it would be Adam Cole versus Keith Lee for the title, for the NXT Championship.
Well, I would have loved.
It would be ideal.
I would have loved to have seen that, Steve.
That would have been the ideal situation, but unfortunately, it won't happen. It might happen at some point, but in any event, we love Keith Lee though. He's fine.
Yeah, Keith Lee is
No
good people. So
he is. So he did best he could. It was a situation where they had to have a triple threat match with no people there, and they tried. They did some good stuff. It was what it was.
Yeah, it was a good match, but obviously it didn't hit that next level for a few reasons.
Yeah.
And, I mean, yeah, they did what they could, and again, you're making the best of what you can, but that's going to kind of bring us to the closing portion, Steve, the old head-to-head comparison for the week. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go?
I'll go ahead and go for. I'll go ahead because, I mean, AEW just continues to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. I mean, they even though there's certain limitations on this particular time and era, as far as things go, they continue to make the best of it. They continue to have good stuff. They had the best match on this evening. They had some good promo segments. They just had some good stuff going forward for the TNT Championship. And NXT, although they had maybe a takeover match, it just didn't. I mean, all the WWE/NXT stuff after the whole situation has just seemed soulless to me. Like there's just no feeling behind it to me.
I hear you, Steve. So you're giving AEW the nod, yes?
Yeah.
All right, yeah. Dynamite, I thought was a really good show. We had that great opener. We're building that title tournament well. We're continuing Hikaru Shida's push. Lance Archer's debut was fucking great. And again, under horrible circumstances, venue changes, working through a skeleton crew at times, AEW is finding a way to still deliver quality television. And I think that that's really being undersold by a lot of people when you consider the lack of experience this crew has producing TV, the limitations put on them with their talent roster because they have so many people that can't get there. And you juxtapose that against WWE, who has 50 years of producing product, who has like 90% of their roster in Florida, and they can rotate in a ton of fucking people if need be. And NXT, it wasn't a bad show in any way. It just felt flat is the best way to put it. I didn't hate it, but when it was over, despite a good main event and some good build for next week, and I did like the women's gauntlet, there was nothing that I would say made me care. And there was a point to where NXT was putting on TV, and every show when I was done, there were 2 or 3 things coming out of that show I cared about, I was interested in, I was really invested in it. And coming out of this show, it's like, I don't care about Velveteen Dream right now. I don't care about Dexter Lumis. I'm kind of all in on that women's match because I think they have a ton of potential to deliver next week. Kushida's just a fucking dude. Joaquin Wilde got fucking kidnapped. And Keith Lee's just spinning his wheels with the same 2 dudes. Technically 3 if you want to throw in Cameron Grimes, who gets the occasional shot. But other than that,
with this hat.
And then here's the thing, Steve, with Keith Lee. Who's fucking next then?
I don't know.
Because what are you going to do? Are you going to have Dijakovic bitch and get a rematch? Or are you going to have Priest bitch and get a rematch? None of that is interesting to me.
He should have taken on Adam Cole this takeover on WrestleMania weekend is what should have happened. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm going AEW as well, and I can hear it now. Oh, you guys hate NXT now. No, it's just, listen, man, you can only judge on what they're giving you. And I'm sorry, it's just the NXT product since the beginning of the year has had some good shows, but it's been flat a lot of times. Steve put it kind of best. It feels like there's kind of no soul to the show. And that's not the first time I've heard that. There's a lot of other people that feel that way.
And I gave a lot of credit to Shotzi Blackheart's performance on that match. I thought the women's gauntlet match was great.
Shotzi was good in that match.
I thought that's some good stuff. You got Deonna Purrazzo there doing stuff. Yeah, there were a lot of good girls there doing some good stuff. So I like that a lot.
They worked really hard.
I'm not just throwing NXT over bus. I thought that match was good.
Yeah, they worked really hard. That was definitely like that, and the main event were definitely matches I wish there was a crowd for.
Yeah.
Because
they worked their asses.
Yeah, and I think a crowd would have been into that women's match, and I think it would have been into that main event. And I'll tell you what, though, I mean, Kenny and Trent was great, but you put that in front of a traditional AEW crowd.
Oh, it would have been five. It would have been 5.5, maybe. And then the tag team match was a classic. We mentioned, AAA has Kenny Omega as champion. It was kind of the classic AAA main event where you had a lot of guys getting a lot of heat. It worked.
Yeah. Dude, but by the way, you joke about the 6-star match thing. There was a segment on Being the Elite where the Bucks, it's like Kenny and Paige and them, they walk up to Tony, and Tony's like, oh, congratulations. And Kenny's like, oh, what, you heard about the 6-star match? He goes, 6 stars? What the hell do you think you are, the Revival?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, no, I mean, you put that in front of a fucking lit AEW crowd, man. It's even better. You put the main event of this show and that women's match of the NXT show in front of a crowd, they're also better. I mean, but again, a lot of people are making the best out of what they can right now, and honestly, I think AEW's doing a better job, and I know that upsets some people because you're biased against AEW. I just like good fucking wrestling shows.
That's what we like to see. I mean, we can't help that WWE can't figure out how to film good wrestling shows in front of no audience. We can't help that. We can't help that they're sending emails to certain fans like, oh, well, would you like our shows better if we had piped in audience? We can't help that.
Yeah, and I also can't help them that there's like 2 matches advertised for Mania that aren't fucking happening either. But they're still pushing.
We can't help them that they're debuting Sam Shaw. We can't help them that they're trying to have Braun Strowman against Goldberg. We can't help them that, we can't help a lot of shit. That we can't help they have a ladder match with Nuso and John Moore. We don't know. We can't help them. We can't control that.
That's right.
Not our fault.
But you know what we can control, Steve?
What can we control?
We can make WrestleMania interesting. You know why? Because Sunday night after the second part of WrestleMania, I'm going to be back. Steve Cook is going to be back. And Jeremy Lambert Jr. III is going to be back, and we're going to review both nights of WrestleMania. We're going to be together. It's going to be a fun time. Jeremy, when he had to leave, said he would come back for Mania weekend. And all 3 of us are going to be together. We're going to have a good time. Even if the show's not great, we're going to have a good time and make it sound fucking great because we'll
have a good time because me and Jeremy and Larry Csonka, we're all best friends forever.
That's right.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. Regardless of whether the show is great or not, whether the show is good or whether the show is terrible, we'll have a good time talking about it.
Don't get us wrong. We're hoping for a fucking good show because you can only say something's bad so many ways.
It'd be nice. It'd be nice.
So, Steve, do you have any columns coming up this week you want to throw out there?
Oh gosh, I mean, the last thing I posted, the 411, I don't know when it will come out. It's a top 7 winning streaks in wrestling history.
Ooh.
You know about winning streaks. You know how people have won a lot of matches in a row.
Undefeated in Japan for 3 years, brother. I know.
Yeah, you know about it. You know about somebody who's undefeated in North America for 10 years. Your friend Dr. Death. Right. You know about that. He was with us back in the day. And we got that guy. We got a guy who won a lot of WrestleMania matches in a row. We got a guy who won a lot of WCW matches in a row, who kind of put the promotion on his back for a while. So a lot of good stuff in that column right there. So I enjoy it. Top 7 winning streaks of all time. I like, remember winning streaks when wins and losses mattered? I think wins and losses still matter in some promotions and not in some other promotions, which we talk about. But, I like wins and losses mattering. What do you think?
I do too. I'm a big fan of it. It's a simple storytelling tool. It's not fucking rocket science.
You win a lot of matches and it works.
Yeah.
If you hold the WF Championship for almost 8 years, I think it matters. Unless you're Brock Lesnar and only working one match a year, then it doesn't matter as much.
Right. But,
if you're Bruno Sammartino working the circuit, then it does matter.
But it's like a simple thing. It's like, listen, we know Lance Archer's going to kill Colt Cabana, but at least they've done a good job of putting the fact that Colt Cabana is undefeated so far. And he's going to go into that match with Lance Archer undefeated, and if Lance Archer fucking murders him in short order, then Lance Archer looks even better because he just beats somebody that was undefeated. Plus, Colt Cabana is a guy that is well known and people love, so it works on a few levels. It's a very simple storytelling tool.
That's ridiculously simple. That's almost retarded how simple it is.
Exactly. So I mean,
like how easy that story tell. Like, come on now, that's so easy.
It is, but.
So easy.
Steven, thank you for your time, my friend. It was good talking to you, and we're going to be back on our regular schedule, and we're also going to be doing, obviously, when we get some time, we're going to be recording some retro content. Got to keep that going because people have been enjoying that. I'm going to be talking, I'm not sure when it's going to run, but just so everybody knows, it's technically Thursday now. As I'm talking later tonight, I'm going to be reviewing Dark Side of the Ring on the New Jack show with Jerome Kisson.
Oh, gosh, that show. Oh, don't get me started on that show with, I'd listened to some New Jack shoot interviews before, and I'd only heard about some of his incidents. And once I saw them on video, I was like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He fucking cut a guy's head. Oh,
that's right.
So fucking crazy.
But we're to be incorporating the Dark Side of the Ring reviews into the various shows as well. Jerome and I covered the Benoit one last week, and yeah, that one was that was a rough 2 hours.
A tearjerker. A tearjerker. Yeah.
So
get your hankies out.
But we have a lot of stuff coming up. Kevin will be dropping in to do retro stuff with me as well as Steve, and Steve and I will try to keep our regular Wednesday schedule as long as work and the coronavirus doesn't disrupt it. And we'll be good to go. So until Sunday night, I want to thank everybody for listening to the 411 on Wrestling podcast. You can follow us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, the 411mania.com website, and any major podcasting platform. Please make sure to subscribe to our show, give us a thumbs up, and subscribe on YouTube. Share us around on social media. And until Sunday night, I hope everybody has a good week.